It's a toss behind him. It is Reese, and Reese dives in. Touchdown, Baylor.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Here it comes again. Game inside.
Underneath, he finds his man.
Oh, that's how you make
Beautiful play. That's Logan Loya. Logan Loya is going to take it to the house. Touchdown, Bruins, 70 yards.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Get one more play here. Chase Cota, look out! He's gone! 49 yards! Chase Cota shot out of a cannon!
Sikkim 365 Radio is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Off the play action, Stroud wants a downfield shot, and he's got Fleming running free, and Julian Fleming battles to the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Play action, go for the wide receiver screen. This is Wells, and Antoine Wells has a first down, and he's got a foot race. Touchdown, South Carolina. 42-yard catch and run for Antoine Wells Jr.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And here we go on this Tuesday afternoon, October the 11th, as we head into yet another week of college football, wrapping up yet another controversial week in the NFL, which we will get into. The question I have, we're going to look at some of the college football national awards that came out, some spectacular performances. But I want to get into this, the question of parity in college football. We know about the NFL. At one point last week, entering the last week, the fifth week of the season, 24 of the 32 teams were either 500 or worse. 24 of the 32. Now, if you think about it, 8 above 500, 8 under 500, 8 at 500. That would be the NFL's like pipe dream. But 24 of the 32 teams were 500 or worse. That's parity. We know that. We see that 1 year up, 1 year down. College football's never really had much parity, although we're seeing much more. Do you think we're leaning? Is there a trend towards parity in college football when we have spent the offseason talking about super conferences and others bolting away to have their own toys and play with them by themselves?
Well, what created parity in the professional sports? Free agency certainly did a little bit, when guys could walk out the door, so that created some parity. Well, college football has free agency now, which is much more unencumbered than professional sports free agency probably ever was or ever will be. And so there's free agency now in the transfer portal, and that you can go there anytime you want and go anywhere you want. So that's keeping some of the depth that teams had. Even if you're going to be the third string tight end at Alabama, if you don't like that, you can go start at Arkansas State. And Arkansas State's better because they got a kid who was good enough to at least be on the team at Alabama. That creates a little bit more parity. That makes teams more dangerous. A team like Marshall has all these transfers from all over the place. They can go toe-to-toe and beat a team like Notre Dame, where that would happen once in a while before. What else creates parity? We're looking at it here in the next couple of years. An expanded playoff will create parity because more and more teams will have an opportunity. Now, there will be the superpowers who always win, the teams that are better at things. That's the same in pro sports, too, that you have certain teams that are always towards the top. But, yeah, I think there's more parity now. There's some separation between the top 2 or 3 all the time, but down the bottom, I think it's more
Craig?
parity for sure.
Yeah, I think there might be. I don't know. We're still only halfway through the season, so let's see how this second half goes and kind of what comes out on the other side of the wash there, because we might very well end up with the same end result that we typically do. And I know that's not exactly what you're speaking to, but yeah, I don't know. I need to see a little bit more before buying fully into that this is parity and it's not just the typical craziness of college football, if that makes sense. I do think there is more room for parity. When did Jerry Jones win his Super Bowls? When there's no salary cap and he could just go out, spend everybody, and have this loaded all-star team. And now everybody's basically got no salary cap, like you said. So if you want to invest in your team, you want to be Texas Tech and say, hey, everybody gets $25K, or you want to be whatever other programs have set up, and you want to be competitive and get to the top quicker, then there's the opportunity to do that. If you want to do it differently, you can do it that way as well. And I just think you're seeing a bunch of different people in a time in college football where so much is changing and so much is available and so much is on the line too. When you look at realignment and kind of the fear of what that brings and what, the new conferences might bring, I think everybody is, at their best right now, trying to throw everything that they can at everything that they can to try and be as good as they can. And so I think there's a combination of factors that are leading to what has so far been a very parity kind of filled first half of the season. But even still, we are looking on the other side of it, and it's still those same teams that are on top as of right now. So I'm curious to see how it goes the rest of the way, but it's been entertaining, that's for sure. I don't know if it's something that's a new trend in college football that sticks around for a while. If it does, that would certainly be interesting. Might be worthy of a book of some sort, because the expectations are the complete opposite, are they not? That there will be, in fact, less of that, because there will be a couple conferences that are making so much more money than the others that I guess you could, in theory, have parity in those conferences. But if you're making $100 million to somebody else's 40, then I don't know how much parity you're really going to get outside of just the occasional, like, a better coaching matchup, got you the victory. But yeah, there's some signs of it, but I'm not fully on board with the idea of it being a thing just yet.
Well, and look, the $100 million to $40 million is certainly a thing that's going to skew in one direction, but also, you can maybe hand Northwestern $100 million a year. Does it mean that they're still going to be as committed to football as Ohio State would be, or is that just money they're going to take and run and still do what they do? Look, Vanderbilt gets more money than Baylor does, but Baylor's obviously more committed to winning in football than Vanderbilt is, for whatever reason. So, it's just sometimes it's not that they get the money, it's what you spend the money on. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think that means, like, all these sudden these teams that don't care about football as much as the others right now, they'll take their money and appreciate it, but they may not just be like, okay, now we're all in.
I wish there was a way, indexes and all the things, the history, ESPN stats, and all the things that we have out there now. I don't know whether or not there are more games like Appalachian State and A&M, because we know Appalachian State, Michigan, but that was one for a long, long time, and a few others that have come along that we've seen more often. I do think you're seeing more FCS teams beat FBS teams. You're seeing some blue bloods that have been down start to maybe creep back up into the conversation, some with maybe that fool you, and some like Tennessee that we're about to see a little bit more of them when they host Alabama, because they have been down. But others, we see blue bloods. There were blue bloods down back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and even the last 20 years or so. But just maybe want to think about that. That's a story as well in the chat room, and also the text line 254-339-1122. I do want to get into this. Craig, are you going to get into roughing the passer? No. Okay. Off the radar at 4:45 on many things outside of what we discuss most every day. I do want to get into this, and we're going to have some of the college football awards in a moment. The NFL's version of what Tom Brady, that penalty that hit Garrett at Atlanta on Sunday that kept the drive alive. Atlanta was about to get the ball back. And the one last night with Chris Jones and Derek Carr. And the NFL today comes out, as they do, because they're petrified of what people are saying. They're petrified of it. And they're also very, very sneaky in how they act like they care about a cause or certain things when really they only want you to think that way. But the roughing the passer penalty that we saw last night with Chris Jones, strip sack, fumble recovery, and lands on Derek Carr, and even tried to brace his left arm on top of Derek Carr's body. and a penalty flag comes out. Not only was it a terrible call, it shook up the referee so badly. I sent you guys video of him trying to make another call just a few minutes after that one. He was spooked. He was scared to death. His voice was cracking. He probably knew he screwed up the call. Fans are going to be fans, but the NFL today, well, we're going to look into roughing the passer. Do you think they're going to do that because they think the rule's bad or because of the backlash they've seen in just the last 2 or 3 days?
The backlash.
And they're scared to death of backlash.
I still am very much in favor of the sky judge that, when they have penalties like that, if somebody could just be like, hey, no, we just looked at it. No, don't go. Like, you don't need to send the guy over to the monitor. Like for stuff like that. I get when, it's a catch on the sideline or was this a touchdown? You want the guy over at the monitor. But when it's, hey, that wasn't roughing the passer, just let it go. Like the sky judge could really help out. Pick up the flag, move on. It wouldn't slow the game down that much. Just be like, no, it wasn't. There was no flag for roughing the passer and move on. We have the technology. Things move pretty fast nowadays. So I think you could do that and clean that up because it still gives the referees discretion to throw penalties when they see them or they think they see them, but it also gives them some protection from, walking out and going, personal foul, roughing the passer, and you're like, on what? Like, what was Chris Jones supposed to do? I think that would solve a lot of problems. For whatever reason, that hasn't taken place in the NFL just yet.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching that game last night, and my totally unfiltered thoughts at the time were this game is totally rigged. That's how it felt to me. I don't walk away from every controversial call feeling like the fix is in. There are certainly people that do. Like they are just convinced that everything's rigged, but I'm not like that. I never even think that way. I thought that way last night. I thought this game is freaking rigged, man. There were just one too many calls that were just absurd, including the one you mentioned in particular. I don't know if that official was nervous because he was afraid of what the NFL offices were going to say to him. I don't know if he was worried about checking Twitter afterward. I don't know if a couple of Paul's relatives were going to get on him. Seriously, though, because that felt rigged to me, the calls. And again, I'm not somebody that cries that ever. But that's what I was left thinking. I was left thinking, this game is totally set up, and I don't really enjoy this product the way that it is right now. I don't think college football is the best in the world when it comes to its officiating by any stretch. I think the TV timeouts are ridiculously out of hand at this point. I think the reviews, particularly in the Big 12, are far too long for no reason at all. And I think there's a lot that can be cleaned up, but the NFL just, it reeks, man. And there's way too much money changing hands to not have that train of thought, especially when they're promoting gambling as much as they are. So I believe that hopefully all that is on the up and up. But when you see some of these calls, they're just so questionable. It's like, how do you even, how did we get to this point where you're having calls like the one with Tom Brady on Sunday? I mean, that was ridiculous, guys. That was absolutely ridiculous. And I just didn't think that, and the one last night was as well, but I just didn't think that when the Tua thing happened, I said the day afterwards that, in regards to Dylan Gabriel, I didn't think he was going to play for Oklahoma because I felt there was going to be this trickle-down effect of, people being worried about concussions and head injuries. And I didn't think that it would necessarily immediately impact the college game, have a full effect on the college game. I still feel like colleges are going to make their own decisions, but I do think now they got to be a little bit more wary of just the attention that's being paid to decisions like that. And so I thought that was inevitable, but I didn't foresee it changing the way that the NFL is now making calls days later out of fear for just something similar. And that's basically what we saw this weekend, was them less than a week removed from the Tua situation, completely overreacting the other way, to where it's not even a fun product to watch, guys. That's not fun. When I didn't enjoy that. I thought it was bogus, and it had me questioning a lot of things. I mean, I'm more chilled out on all that today, removed from it, but it still had me scratching my head man, this is just, I could see where the door is open for people to really wonder about what's going on with some of these calls. And that's unfortunate because if there's anything that's going to harm the Shield, It's stuff like what's unfolded the last couple weeks, whether it be concussions or these calls. That's what's going to get people tuned out from the NFL. And by no means are they not going to have, millions upon millions of fans. Like, fantasy football ensures that nobody's going to go anywhere to where they're in trouble as a brand. But you could lose some fans by putting that type of a product out there where basically it's like you can't even touch the quarterback. And I know we've been kind of saying that, but like, we're really there now. Like, you really can't even sack the quarterback without getting a 15-yard penalty, and that is just ridiculous. Yeah. Like, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, I know you can. And again, one of the this is not Paul or Craig, but I am of the opinion that I don't like going down the rabbit hole of a call costing a team a game or anyone saying the refs, the officials. To me, it takes away. Make one more play. Again, I get it, though. That one against Brady, for Brady, allowed the clock to continue. Tampa Bay kept the ball, and Atlanta was screwed. The one last night with Jones, Kansas City still won the game. There's an example, even despite a terrible call.
Garbage, though.
It's taking. You and I on the NFL, we text probably 5 to 6 times on a Sunday. I really find myself. I watched it. It was a great game, but I find myself for the NFL. There are so ticky-tack calls, and then you have these as well, and it really is keeping me from being completely entrenched in watching a game because I can't stand the illegal contact. I understand you might divert a receiver from being able to get open or whatever, but 5 yards when it's 3rd and 22, I don't get it. I don't get the illegal contact being an automatic first down.
Are you talking about where the Chiefs got that bailout first down?
Yeah,
that
really,
was bogus too.
You see that 50 times in a weekend. Paul, you know what I'm talking about. Illegal contact, it is, to me, a cheap call, and especially because it's a first down. Give them 5 yards and replay 3rd or 2nd or whatever down it might be. You were going to say something else about what Craig said.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The other, Atlanta got, they ran out of time. There is not always Josh McDaniels on the other side to give the game back to you. So just because of that, I think that the NFL, they're either guilty of over officiating something or under officiating it. And it's the same in college too. We've got to fix our referee problem, which means we have to start growing them in high school and all the way up. But that has to start. The NFL needs to invest in those things. The NFL needs to do that. And I get it, it's a thankless job, but the NFL and college football needs to invest in their officiating a little bit more than they do. And I'm not talking about paying officials more and doing that, like pay them whatever they're worth. Absolutely. I'm all for it. It's a very thankless job.
They make, but the NFL, they make cash, man.
But the NFL also needs to make sure that they don't wind up having to do what Joe Biden is doing with the IRS and hiring 87,000 of them because there's not that many left because they're all dying off and retiring. Like, they need to make sure that they're growing them up for the levels and people know the rules of football and you're getting good referees. I think we're just running out of talent there.
Yeah, everything on the defense. We know it's an offensive game. The NFL knows that's what sells tickets, even though you still have 19-10 or low-scoring games. From Daniel, defensive holding shouldn't be an automatic first down either. Every single penalty that I can think of, other than encroachment, which is now offsides, whatever they call it, how many defensive penalties are not an automatic first down in the NFL?
I don't know.
Illegal contact, first down. Pass interference, yardage, even at the spot, and a first down, obviously. Holding, first down. Obviously, roughing the passer, first down. Anything else? I can't think. There might be one. Illegal contact, holding, all of them are first downs. Not every penalty on the offense is a loss of a down, other than grounding. That's the only one I can think of. Intentional grounding, an offensive penalty where you lose a down. All the defensive penalties, except the one I mentioned, I could miss one or two, are automatic first downs.
I saw an illegal kick in a college game the other night. That was a loss of down. But, yeah, I mean, you're right.
It could have been a first down if he would have just kept running.
Yes.
All right, so those are some of the things in the chat room. Thank you very much for a lot of you. There was a note in the chat room about the Texas OU game. Had a couple of million more viewers than any other Big 12 game. Dennis Haiti came back on and said the Red River Shootout was on ABC, but it was still down a couple of million from last year. But it's in defense. It was some competition. Tennessee, LSU, Michigan was playing. So, yeah, you have a little bit of that. One of the things I'll say about anyone who wants to look at the ratings, and Craig brought this up even well before the season, if you want to hang a banner because you have the most watched games or the most viewers, whatever conference or team you are, then hang the banner. Because Texas OU was still not the most important game in the Big 12 on Friday or Saturday. It wasn't. It was an entertaining game. It has incredible tradition, atmosphere, pageantry. We've discussed that. It's very almost unmatched. But the TCU-Kansas game had more implications in what the Big 12 looked like going forward. Now, eventually, because of the win, Texas might get that kickstart. We'll see. But I just think that you go down a road like that. Michigan-Indiana might have been the most watched game. You think that was entertaining? No, but it was Michigan. And
it wasn't
Michigan's
even close to the most watched game, but it was still more watched than Oklahoma-Texas. I hate I knew this was coming. I freaking knew this was coming. The TV ratings talk after the offseason of realignment. I tried to warn people, but here we are where we're going to be bragging about freaking TV ratings on a weekly basis. Yay. Wow. Breaking news, guys. Oklahoma and Texas have more fans than TCU and Kansas. Can you guys freaking believe that? How shocked are you right now that Oklahoma and Texas have more viewers than TCU and Kansas? It's unbelievable, right? It's of course they do. I think we knew going in that they would have more viewers, no matter how hyped up, no matter how much game day was at TCU and Kansas. Cool. I don't care though. I really do not care. I'll mention the ratings as I have the last couple of weeks as far as off the radar goes, just to mention them and to say these are the most watched games. But what have I always prefaced it with? I'm not going to get into, I'm mentioning this because Big 10 1, Big 12 0 in the TV main events. I do not care about that minutia. I do not care. I don't want to dissect NFL ratings and compare the AFC to the NFC. I know, let's compare Cowboys Commanders to Ravens Bengals and brag about the NFC East. Who gives a damn? That's great. That's not surprising in any way, shape, or form. And I think that was entirely predictable. So, cool, but let's not get into TV ratings wars, please.
CJ Jenkins is the one, and CJ, we love you, man, and I even said that in a response, but really, hang up a banner, and the whole point is, those who have good numbers now, that's why some of them are now a part of a new conference. We get that. That's why the conference realignment has occurred. That's why we don't know about the future. That's why the Pac-12 is trying to save itself, and the Big 12 is waiting in the wings okay, what about us? But it's not surprising. And yet, sometimes it's also who else you're facing, who's playing at the same time. Sometimes it's the network you want, and sometimes it doesn't matter. You're going to draw big numbers. And that game at 49-0 probably would have been double the numbers had Oklahoma been anywhere competitive, because I'm sure a lot of people started to click off the channel. Unless you're a Texas fan, you want to watch every second of that blowout.
I've just never watched anything because of, especially not college football, because of the TV rating. I never will. So, that's cool, but that's a new thing to this year. I feel like we've always had TV ratings get brought up, but now it's turned into a comparison thing. Yeah, and I saw this coming, and I just loathe that it's even a thing. But here we are, and some people just need to feel good. I guess that's the intention, and belittle others, I suppose. But TCU Kansas still hosted game day, still had a badass game that was way more entertaining than Oklahoma Texas, and there's no change in that, no matter how many viewers there were. But congrats,
and it was more important, too, based on at least currently right now. Mike Bean, Game Day, ESPN said the 3-hour broadcast averaged 2.3 million viewers on TV. That is the highest number of viewers for a pre-November show since 2010. I don't know what that means other than what it means for this past weekend on Saturday.
It means a good showing for those involved and nothing more. But if we want to compare it, all the Big 10 game days and all the rest of the time Austin hosted game day, I guess if we really wanted to dive into that, we could. But why? Who cares, man? Good for those teams. It was a great game. It's a great atmosphere. And it was great college football. And that's all that I care about. I don't care about all this other, tribal junk about TV ratings or any other comparisons like that.
All right, today we have Paul Jones. He covers Mississippi State. Man, they're having a nice run. David Newton covers the Carolina Panthers for ESPN.com. Hope you got that change, Garrett. on what went wrong, other than the obvious. They didn't win under Matt Rhule. Mac Rhodes at 420. Craig's off the radar. Paul's top 5. J.J. Joe, Baylor Radio at 5. And John McClain, Hall of Famer and columnist today at 5:30. One quick note locally. Are you going to put this in off the radar?
What?
About...
No, go ahead.
Okay, Kalani McDonald, who's a spectacular athlete. Jelani McDonald, a spectacular player at Conley here in Waco, is committed to Oklahoma State. Last Friday, Robert Allen, one of the sideline reporter for Oklahoma State, called me and asked me about him. He's taking a visit to, I think, Austin this weekend for the Iowa State-Texas game, and it got everybody who's in Oklahoma State a little bit concerned because, I mean, you're talking about down in Austin and Texas, and they will make sure it's a great show, and especially coming off the win. He did receive an offer from Texas. He visits, I believe it's Austin this weekend for their game with Iowa State. He is the straw that stirs the drink for Conley. Great basketball talent as well. He has a running back in Kiefer Sibley who's very good. Conley's very good. And Kalani has missed a game or two because of an injury, but he is great. Jelani has missed a game or two because of an injury. And we saw him when he was a freshman playing at Conley when we did the games a couple of years ago. He was mainly in the secondary and a backup quarterback when Kavion Gaither was a quarterback, and now he's at Sam Houston State. All right, take a break here. Paul Jones in the 2 segments from now in Mississippi State. Is college football now in the mode of parity? Yes or no, and your thoughts about it on the chat room, along with more. And we dig into the games this weekend in the Big 12. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. I get an email about once every other day from Marco's Pizza because we will order pizza and have it delivered here when we do to the office here where we have the studio 101 Elm. And there are different types of specials. You can go online, marcos.com, and they have pepperoni magnifico. They have 1 topping, 2 toppings. They have 3 topping type pizzas, and each one of them has a code for you to order online. No matter where you are, wherever there's a Marco's Pizza that delivers to you, office or home, they will do that. You can go online and find those specials at marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it. We, of course, when we get it, I always get the thin crust and get Chicago cut, the square cut, all meat, and then the pepperoni magnifico. They have chicken wings and sandwiches. They have pizza bowls, and they have salads, and they have whatever drinks you're looking for to also deliver to you. It's Marco's Pizza. 5 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, Hewitt, and Robinson. Marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it.
During Jeep Adventure Days, Allen Samuels in Waco is celebrating with an incredible lineup of 2022 models like the Grand Cherokee L, Renegade, Wrangler, and the Wrangler 4xe. These vehicles bring power to plow through any obstacles or the smooth, peaceful ride you'd expect from a Jeep. Jeep SUVs are also known for their design and technology. The Grand Cherokee L even brings you extended seating with a 3rd row. Come see what Allen Samuels can offer you and your family and find the Jeep SUV that fits your lifestyle.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
It's football and tailgate season. If you want product for the grill or smoker, charcoal, seasonings, marinades, sauces, Waco Custom Marketplace is your home to help prep, cook, and enjoy your food. Tailgate must like brisket, tri-tip, fresh-made burgers, sausage, chicken wings, and if you want steaks, call in your order and pick them up. Bacon wrap fillets or any kind of ribeyes. USDA Select, Choice, and Prime that melt in your mouth. House-made sausage and jerky. Also, Waco Custom Marketplace, a one-stop shop for tailgating, barbecue cook-offs, and family get-togethers, fundraisers with fair prices to you, the customer. A bakery with fresh baked bread and kolaches. There's cold beer, wine, and soft drinks. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. A cut above the rest. Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
All right, a couple of awards or so to mention. The Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, National Player of the Week. Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver from Temple High School, just south of where we are in Waco. GCU wide receiver, had himself a game, 14 catches, over 200 yards, and, of course, the game-winning touchdown with 1:36 to go in the game in that shootout, and great back-and-forth entertaining game with Kansas. Quentin Johnston named the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. You have to either be from Texas or play for a school in Texas, offensive player, to be a part of the nomination process and also the award.
And he's both.
Yes, he's also high school, college, and from the state. Now, also, this is one I was going to bring up yesterday. We didn't get to it. Quinion Mitchell. Quinion Mitchell from Toledo had 4 interceptions in a win against Northern Illinois and returned 2 of them for a touchdown. He was named the Bronco Nagurski National Defensive Player of the Week. There are, on occasion, games where you see that. But to have 4 in a game and run 2 of them back is spectacular. I don't know how much better you can do than that.
I've got a coaching question for Northern Illinois.
Why throw his direction?
Did you not remember his number?
Yeah.
Did you not go, okay, don't throw it over there? Maybe after the second one, you say, let's stop this. Let's stop.
Well, why do people throw it Diggs?
Well, sometimes he
he kind of lets you score. Yeah.
But
all right.
Sometimes you just need to. It's kind of like when somebody hits 3 home runs. And you're like, okay, after the first 2, I know the odds aren't he's going to hit 3, but unless you don't have a base open, just pitch around him.
Yeah, that's what they did to Barry Bonds, and he still hit 73. Pittsburgh running back Israel Abanikanda rushed for 320 yards and 6 touchdowns in the win against Virginia Tech, and he was named the Doak Walker National Running Back of the Week. We had talked about Pittsburgh before the season began and before they played West Virginia, and he had himself a great game with 320 yards, 36 carries in that game. And I'm trying to, what Tony Dorsett's best game, previous school record was Tony Dorsett in 1975, 303. And I think that was Dorsett's freshman year at Pittsburgh. And so he broke the school record of the great Tony Dorsett. So those are some awards from the weekend of college football. Now, Big 12. This weekend's games. Oklahoma State in Fort Worth against TCU. This is, of course, a game. The winner will be tied with Kansas State at the top of the Big 12. K-State is off this week, and so the winner will be tied for first place, whether it's Oklahoma State or TCU.
I don't know. I'm picking Oklahoma State in this game, and I'll say that early in the week because I just think they're a little bit better. But I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be another classic for TCU 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm picking in this game just yet. I don't know about a TCU win. I'm not on that side just as of this moment, but I do think it's going to be a great game. I do think that Oklahoma State has shown a lot, but so has TCU. So I mean, this is a showdown that's maybe wasn't expected to be this type of a game before the season. I think certainly not, right? Because I don't know if I ever heard mention of TCU Oklahoma State being a real big game in all of the build-up these last few months. But here it is, and here it is as a huge game in the Big 12 where, the winner will be right there at the top of the standings, and will have a huge part of their schedule now behind them. So, I don't know which way to lean with this one just yet. What did I say earlier? Did I say TCU earlier? I think I might have. But I also said that on the podcast we recorded that I am not sold on that result just yet. So check back in a couple more days when we have to make our picks. But, this should be a great game.
All right, the other one that will be really, to me, intriguing, although Oklahoma in a free fall, Kansas coming off the loss, looks like Bean might start again.
He is.
Okay, he will start again. At Oklahoma, Kansas can jump right back near the top. If they can win, go to 3-1. Oklahoma, of course, right now, none of us have any idea what to expect going forward. I don't know if Brent Venables knows what to expect going forward.
Well, I think they expect Dylan Gabriel to be back, and I think Vegas expects an Oklahoma win, or else they're trying to get money coming in on the KU side, because that's a spread that's very much in Oklahoma's favor at last check. So that's of interest, especially given what we saw last weekend. It's in Norman. I don't know how much of a difference that makes, honestly, but it's nice to be back at home after a rough go of things in Dallas. So I'm very curious to see if Gabriel's back. I think everybody is, and if so, then can he be the missing piece that not necessarily would go on and won them that game last week, but it would have been far more competitive had he played. I think we can all acknowledge that. To what degree? I mean, maybe Texas still wins in a blowout. Who knows? But at least Oklahoma would have scored some points, in my opinion. So they're far more competitive with him. I'm sure that's playing into that, because you wouldn't pick OU without Dylan Gabriel to win this game. So, I think that you're watching the quarterbacks in this one more than anything is, Jason being able to play the way he did last weekend, and is Gabriel back? And if so, is he able to play at a high level for Oklahoma and try to get them, off the schneid?
All right, the other one, West Virginia Thursday night against Baylor at home. Baylor's never won in Morgantown. West Virginia in need of a win at 0-2. Baylor, I think they need a win too after losing that game against Oklahoma State a couple of weeks ago. That game in Morgantown, very much right after our show ends on Thursday evening.
Yeah, this is a must-win for both teams, in my opinion. I think, Baylor is at a point now where if they're 3-3 after Morgantown, they are really looking at the schedule going, how do we make a bowl game? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy to say Thursday night in Morgantown is the most winnable game. This is the most winnable game remaining on their schedule, in my opinion. So it's do or die time for this team. And the concerning part to me is Dave Aranda has been repeating himself basically for what month are we in? 10 months now, or 9 months, I guess, basically going back to last February with whatever first press conference or media session he would have had where he started talking about the origins of this team and how it wasn't last year's team and all the talent they lost. And we went through spring ball, and we went through the NFL draft, and we went through the summer months, and then we went through fall camp. And now we're halfway through the season, and he's saying the same exact things that he was saying back in March during spring ball about this team, about the complacency in the veterans, not, hey, this isn't last year's team, while also talking about the youth and trying to put it all together. And that's just really concerning to me. So I have no doubts that West Virginia could win this game if Baylor's not careful and doesn't play, at a high level going into Thursday night. So, and West Virginia's got their backs against the wall. They want to make a bowl game as well. Neil Brown needs to get wins. It's a big home game for them. So they really need this one. I think it's a really important game for both teams.
Paul, Craig's right. Dave Aranda has been preaching that for 10 months, and He has said it more than once. He has said it even during all fall workouts. He said it to me when we sat down and talked after the Brigham Young game. Said it before the Brigham Young game. I'm not going to get like glass half full, half empty. I'm probably more of a glass half full person, I think. But there does seem to be an edge missing, and I've been saying this.
Yeah.
And it's not just the offensive line. It's maybe in some
ways
the
defensive line. It's the secondary. It's the wide receiver.
Yeah.
It's not just one part. It's a lot.
The losses to Brigham Young and Oklahoma State, either one could easily have been a win. Not easily. Not by any means easily. Could have been wins. But it's kind of like what I'm watching out there. I'm watching something that doesn't have like hell bent for election type stuff.
Not like Texas Tech.
Huh?
Not like Texas Tech.
Yeah, they're playing their hair on fire. Yeah.
You can tell that they're emptying the tank every Saturday.
Every Saturday.
And I'm not saying that Baylor's not playing hard, but there is not an edge. And that's a word that he used, and that's probably the best word to use is edge. There's a serious lack of edge right now with this team. They have no edge.
Yeah, and I've always said this about teams that were successful. And again, it's not like Baylor had a great run. They did under Bryles, and Rhule was building to that. And then last year, 12-2, best year ever. But sometimes, and I've asked coaches, how do you prevent the incoming freshmen or transfers from walking into a program thinking that everything was easy with where they are at that moment and that all the hard work doesn't need to be done anymore, that you just walk in and you coast? That's a danger. Or guys who are backups.
I think the concerning part is that they're sorry, Paul, but that's also what they're doing with the older guys.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem is the older guys are also basing stuff off last year. And it's like that you're not a junior anymore.
Yeah. And this is a team that has not carried over that we are going to pound you into the dirt physically.
And make you like it.
Yeah, they just absolutely have not done that yet. They did it a little bit against Iowa State. It just kind of seemed like they're at 80% of what they were. And that's not going to win you the conference. And they can still do that, but they've got to get on the stick. I think that West Virginia has more problems than Baylor, so that's good going in. But Morgantown is the equalizer. It's the equalizer. They've not won there for a reason and had some really good teams go in there and lose. Really good teams.
Yeah, no, they did. And so the game with Brigham Young had the more edge. Doesn't mean it wasn't a very competitive. It was a great game. It's also hard to watch at times, but it was an incredibly physical, tough, almost a throwback game. But you still see games like that even today.
I saw somebody make a comment in regards to Baylor and kind of talk about them of like, I don't understand why, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I don't understand why the talk's got to be like feast or famine in terms of it's like Big 12 titles, a goal, or we're not making a bowl game. And I agree that there can be extremes. And if you were doing that in like week 2 and in week 3 and whatnot, like, yeah, that's absurd to go like, oh my gosh, we might not make a bowl game because we lost to BYU in week 2. Like that's a little bit silly. But right now, I don't think it's all that silly. It's not all that silly. If they are 3-3 after this game, where are 3 more wins coming from?
Well, I mean...
No, I know they could come from anywhere, but I'm just saying, where is your faith that they're going to go win 3 more games? So that's why there's a conversation, if they lose this week, about, like, do they even make a bowl game? And on the other side of that is the Big 12 championship part of it. If they don't win the game this week, their chances of making the Big 12 championship, fellas, are, like, barely above 0. They will have already had 2 losses, and the meat of their schedule still remaining, so... That's why this one's important. If your goal is to go into the postseason and make a bowl game, win a Big 12 title, and do all that again, you kind of have to win this game unless you're planning on going out and finishing the rest of the way unbeaten, which given who you have in store and given that you'd be 3-3 with this schedule is pretty unlikely because part of the reason why you're losing games are the same issues we were discussing from the very beginning, which why would those change after this loss when they didn't change after all the other times? So that's why I'm looking at this one like, this is your fork in the road. Do you want to go to the postseason and still have a chance to play for a title? Or do you want to sit there and kind of have to, by the skin of your teeth, make it? That's what we're going to find out.
And when we gave predictions before the year, for some of you, because we have covered Baylor, we do cover Baylor, we also opened up our arms to the entire conference in America, quite frankly, and that's why we have all the subscribers. We appreciate that. We weren't... they're going to run the table. Craig said 8-4 and got hammered for it. Where are those 4 losses coming from? Now you need to find out where 4 more wins are coming from, and or maybe 5, 6, or 7. Now, one more game, and it's the team coming off their huge win and the blowout win of Oklahoma. In the last few years, Texas could do this and then blank the bed. Iowa State, who can't score, against a team in Texas who can score a lot and also pitched a shutout. Texas at home against Iowa State.
I predict the TV ratings for this will be huge. No, I'm just kidding. I think that Texas has definitely had some false alarms in the past. I don't think that last weekend was a false alarm. I do think it was a product of just a horrible Oklahoma team, but I think it was also a product of a pretty good Texas team. I'm not saying they're going to go unbeaten the rest of the way, but I do think they're a team that you can have that conversation about and have a good case for why they might. Now, granted, it's football and crazy things happen, but they're built pretty tough right now. And, Ewers just gives them a different dynamic that they haven't had. I think not only from a play standpoint, but also from just a leadership and confidence standpoint. He is that cool hand back there. And there's a lot of confidence and faith in his skills. And I think that they realize that all we got to do is do our jobs. And with a guy like him, he's going to do his job. And that's all we can do. And if we do that, then we're going to be pretty dang good. And we're going to be able to celebrate games like we celebrated last Saturday. So I think they're for real in terms of moving in the right direction and improving their culture and not being typical Texas of like, well, we just deserve to win. That doesn't seem to be the case with this team. It's like they know they're really good, but they know they have to go and earn those wins.
Yeah.
And they know to earn those wins, they have to do their job. And I think that's the difference for them. Iowa State's just a mess.
Yeah.
The whole state of Iowa, in terms of their two biggest brands, is a mess offensively. I think this is a Texas win relatively easily when all is said and done. I don't have a lot of faith in the Cyclones being able to score points.
I mean, they have struggled scoring points, and the offense at times has been a wreck, and they'll need I think they'll need Texas to throw up all over themselves with like 4 or 5 turnovers.
They've had some excruciating losses, Iowa State has.
Yeah, they have.
Man.
All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from Paul Jones. He covers Mississippi State. What a great run right now this year for Mike Leach at Mississippi State. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals right now over at Richard Carr. They are the people that you can count on for the life of your vehicle. Great customer service, but also great deals if you're in the market to buy vehicles. And whether that's new or pre-owned, Richard Carr can hook you up either way, as they finally have had some new vehicles arriving on the lot. And right now, that means the wait is over, and you can go check out these new trucks and SUVs from GMC, the 2022 Sierras, the Acadias, the Terrains. They've all arrived, and they're waiting for you to check them out and test drive today. They've also got the Cadillac XT4 and XT5s available and on the lot for test drives as well. But inventory, even though it just arrives, already going fast. So get there now for the best selection. And when it comes to the GMC Sierra in particular, you're looking at a vehicle that offers best-in-class towing. You're looking at a vehicle with a strong steel bed, multi-pro tailgate, advanced collision avoidance, luxurious interior, massive touchscreens, 14 camera views, premium comfort. I mean, the works. That's what you can get with a GMC Sierra. So go on to the dealership and test drive one today. And maybe you're not in the market for a Sierra. You're in the market for something else, but they don't appear to have it over there at Richard Carr at this moment. The exact truck or SUV you're looking for, it's not on the lot. Well, talk to the good folks over there. Get on their inbound vehicle list, and you basically cut in line for the car or truck that you are in search of, but that's not available right now due to production issues. So get on that inbound vehicle list, and as soon as it's done, they'll get it on over to you. Or you can let them help you design and an exact truck or SUV that you want in the style that you want. They'll prioritize it for you with the good folks over at GMC. So for 23 years in Central Texas, Richard Carr built a reputation on being the people you can count on for your car needs in Central Texas. Check them out. Dealership run by proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Make a winning drive to Genco and refinance your vehicle. Every loan can skip monthly payments for 90 days with rates as low as 3.75% APR for 48 months. Right now is the time to make a play. At Genco, we save you money by helping you pay less for your car. Every loan scores no payments for 90 days. Then have a chance to win 3 more months of no payments. Apply online today for an additional discount of 0.15% off our already low rates. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org. Member NCUA.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month. Includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Paul Jones covers Mississippi State for 247, and Bulldogs 247 joins us on 365 Sports. Mississippi State after a couple of very impressive wins, and now they keep moving on. And Mike Leach, with what he's done there, and the quarterback putting up amazing numbers, record-breaking numbers as well. Paul, thanks for your time. Have they surprised you a little bit from where they are, who they've beaten, and how they've done it?
I would say the margin of victory maybe have caught me a little bit by surprise. But, this is a very veteran team. And when you look back at Leach's tenure, it usually takes him a couple of years to get that thing going. And, a lot of the guys that you're seeing make plays right now, they started as true freshmen almost out of necessity. That first year, a lot of guys transferred, got kicked off, had a COVID year. I think they ended the season with 43, 44 healthy players on scholarship. So, these guys have been through the grind for 3 years now, and, I think experience has a lot to do with how they're playing right now.
Paul, part of it is you give Mike Leach 3 years with a quarterback, and they're all of a sudden going to be in some sort of Jedi mind meld where they kind of just know things. And Will Rogers he just seems so effortless and in control back there.
Agree, and I think that is relative to the run game that they've got this year. Leach likes to give his quarterbacks a lot of freedom. That includes checking out a pass plays for run plays when he sees a drop eight or teams not loading up the box. Will's been very good at checking out of some of those plays this year. And, of course, going back to what I said initially, those running backs, Dylan Johnson, Jaquavius Marks, they're juniors now, and both of those guys started as freshmen. But it definitely starts with that quarterback and knowing the system like the back of his hand and knowing where to go with the ball. And same thing with the receivers. They know where to sit down in the zone. And, that drop eight was an interesting topic his first year and a half because a lot of the defenses showed that and initially held Mississippi State down on offense because of that. But now they've shown the ability to get teams out of that drop eight, mainly because they can run the football. And it's impossible in the SEC to drop eight and try to defend the run.
Paul, what's it like to cover Mike Leach on a somewhat daily basis?
It's interesting. It can be frustrating at times because I get the feeling that sometimes Leach would rather talk about anything than football. There's a lot of times where you want some football answers from him, and he'll go on a rant about something else that had nothing to do with your question. But it's still kind of surreal, to be honest with you, because we all grew up watching Mike Leach elsewhere and know of his past and know how funny he is and quirky he is, and seeing him every day and having press conferences is still kind of surreal. But the guy has really fit in well in Starkville, to be honest. And I know a lot of people wondered about that fit, but regardless of there's so many false narratives about the air raid offense that it's offense that throws 50-yard bombs or it's a finesse offense and Leach has a finesse program, but he's more of a lunch pail guy, hard work, discipline. He's all about that. And, I think that fits Mississippi State's culture pretty good.
What was the story of Will Rogers? And I'm sorry, I don't know more about it, coming out of high school and how he got to Mississippi State and what he was expected to be?
It's kind of a funny story. I've known that family for a long time and grew up diehard Rebel fans. And Ole Miss didn't offer, but Joe Moorhead, when he was at Mississippi State, the head coach, he offered Will and wanted him right away. And, of course, Will was an early graduate, so he got here that January after his senior season of high school. And lo and behold, Mike Leach had offered him too. I think that was his only other Power 5 offer was from Washington State. He had Mississippi State and Washington State offers, so obviously Leach was familiar with Will Rogers when he took over the job here. But just, when he arrived, I told people that from a leadership standpoint, you won't find anyone better. He earns respect. The guys know who QB1 is, and he's a leader in that locker room. And he, he's that type of guy that makes people gravitate to him. He's steadily gotten, improved each year. The old cliche, stronger, faster, bigger, able to stretch the field more with a better arm. So, very low-key and humble guy, too. He just comes to work every day, and, he's probably his biggest critic, but obviously he's improved each year under Leach.
How are they feeling about the rest of the SEC West? Obviously, Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl is going to probably be another classic. Those two teams look really, really good. Alabama's Alabama, but they kind of have a shot here, don't they?
They do, but it is the SEC, and, I think Mississippi State started the year in the preseason with the toughest schedule in the country, and they're about to come upon that tough schedule because I'm not sure there's another team in the country that has 3 top 10 teams left on their schedule. They still got, obviously, a road trip to Kentucky this weekend that won't be easy. Kentucky's number 22 in the country. Still have a home game against Auburn. And they play an FCS team, East Tennessee State, but they also have Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. So it won't be easy sledding by any means. But, yeah, all their goals that they have for the year are still out in front of them.
Paul, I know that it's a bit of a question mark right now on whether Will Levis is going to play or not, but I guess keeping that in mind, what have you made so far of the Mississippi State defensive side of the football, and how does that, I guess, makeup or thought in your mind change, if at all, depending on who's playing quarterback for Kentucky?
Well, I think if Levi's is not able to go, I think it's a big advantage for Mississippi State, and obviously he won't be 100% even if he plays, from what I've heard. But, you know, if Kentucky wants to run the ball, Mississippi State has a pretty good run defense. You know, they've been playing a lot of guys, too, so that depth's starting to show, and it's allowing them to keep fresher legs on the field and get more pressure on the quarterback. You know, on paper, I think it's a pretty good matchup for Mississippi State. You know, teams that have hurt them in the past are speedy quarterbacks that like to scramble or speed on the edges. And, you know, I think Kentucky has one of the best running backs in the league with Chris Rodriguez, but I don't think speed's a big factor on Kentucky's side of the ball on offense.
With what we see now in college football with the transfer portal and all of that, how has that affected Mississippi State one way or the other?
I think they've done well. I mean, they brought in more talent than they've lost. And, you know, the majority of the guys that transferred out did so for the normal reason, more playing time. They were buried on the depth chart, wanted to start somewhere else. Aaron Brule, a 4-year linebacker, he transferred to Michigan State, and he was really the only guy that left that was a starter in the 2 deep. But, you know, you look at who they brought in. Stephen Lasoya, offensive lineman from Middle Tennessee State, who's starting this year now at left guard. Jackie Matthews has probably been their best safety transfer from West Virginia. They brought in Alabama transfer cornerback Marcus Banks. And the kicking game has a couple of transfers as well. So they really hit – I wouldn't say they hit the portal hard this past year, but they hit it in key spots, and it's starting to pay off.
Paul, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Bulldogs 247 covers Mississippi State. Great win that they've had, a couple of them now. And Mike Leach, we know what he did at Tech, what he did at Washington State, which was on and off, but still, this guy's put up a lot of wins over the years, and we know what he can do. There were times at Mississippi State when the offense probably underperformed, but what they're putting up now, the numbers of what they're doing is very impressive. When we come back, we're not done. We're going to hear from David Newton. He covers the Carolina Panthers on the Matt Rhule story from yesterday. We discussed it quite a bit. And also what's next for Matt Rhule and also Carolina. 365 Sports and Sikkim 365 Radio. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. It's my dentist. It's Dr. Steve Childress. The guy's amazing. He has finally convinced me, and I now need to probably stop saying he's convinced me because I've been now getting the regular treatment of what you need, the teeth cleaning and making sure things are good, and also now having some teeth replaced. 2 crowns in my front right part of my smile, which it used to always bother me when I had a picture taken if it was on my right side of my face. And it didn't mean that much to me, but it was there, a gap. And now it's been filled. It went through the taking a tooth out. The other one was already gone, putting in implants, going through that process, and then adding 2 brand new crowns and feeling better about it. Dr. Steve Childress and Stonewood Dental, they can do the regular teeth cleaning. They can do a lot of different type of things that you need, whether it's an emergency like a root canal, a tooth being pulled, whatever it is. He has served our country, helping our soldiers as a dentist as well. And he serves you. Dr. Steve Childress and Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season. And BK Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football teams in Texas, right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, led by our leading rusher, the F-150, 45 years in a row. Lock in your best price and rate today by custom ordering your new F-150 at BK Ford. Simple, easy, trusted. Experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
And I Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Shapen for the first half. A lot of pressure in his face as he sets to throw, and he goes downfield to the end zone. Beautiful from Monterey Baldwin.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
I'm going to start charging you $1.
Or Garrett can just shut me off and everybody would be happy. Let's do it. Let's start doing a kangaroo court. All right, we're now joined by David Newton, ESPN.com, covers Carolina. Got to know David back when Matt Rhule decided to check the NFL out as a head coach, which he's wanted to always do. And, of course, it did not work out. David, thanks for your time with Craig and Paul, and I'm David Smoak. Besides the obvious, besides whatever the record is, 11-27 or whatever that number is, what went wrong with Matt Rhule in Carolina?
A lot of it comes down, he just never could find that franchise quarterback. He tried. I mean, he went with Teddy Bridgewater right off the bat when he moved on from Cam Newton. I think they moved on too quickly from him. I think he's a guy that, had they built around him, he was a guy that could have managed the game well enough to at least keep them in games and won at a level that would have given him more time to wait for that right guy to come along. Then they went to Sam Darnold, who was nothing but a bust with the New York Jets, and he never did anything here in Carolina in his 1 year there. Then they moved on to try to find Deshaun Watson. They couldn't get him, and lost him to the Cleveland Browns, and then took the consolation prize in Baker Mayfield, and Baker's headed for, career worst numbers here. And it just never got that one piece. I think the defense was making a lot of progress. Last year it played well, was playing well again this year, well enough to win, but the quarterback was making too many problems, and the offense in general just wasn't clicking enough to give them a chance to win games, or at least have a serious chance to win consistently.
David, when they hired Ben McAdoo, I thought that was a little concerning, just because I didn't know that with the offensive pieces that they had, if he would be the fit to get the most out of Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore and guys like that. And it just seems like not only was Baker Mayfield playing awful, they weren't really even leaning into his strengths, were they?
I agree. I mean, and you got to use Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's been healthy for 5 games. That's the longest stretch he's had in a while. He had 2 straight 100-yard games, and they were moving the ball, but they just didn't stick with it enough. And and Baker really never went to Christian enough as a check down receiver. He tried some of his last game a little bit and it was effective, but they just didn't do it enough. And when you got a weapon like that, you got to use it. But it was just not just that. It was just the fact that the other receivers and Mayfield just never got on sync. I think some of the things that McAdoo is doing is going to be good, but I think if you look at how Matt had success at Temple and Baylor, I mean, he pounded the ball a lot. I know he spread the ball out a lot at Baylor, but he ran the ball a lot too, and they just never were able to get in a position to do that consistently here. And, it wasn't really good complementary football, and the defense was on the field way too much, and just a lot of different things going on. So it just was a colossal disaster in a lot of ways.
So, David, why was this timing this week the right time? I mean, I understand that they got bludgeoned, and that probably had something to do with it. But why now at this moment was it the best time to move on?
Yeah, I got a feeling Sunday night, even though it was an embarrassing loss, and there were a ton of San Francisco fans in the stands, that David Tepper would be a little patient, but he wasn't. And I woke up the next morning up from what I hear and just was not very happy, and started thinking about it. And I think thinking about the fact that it looked like it was a home game for the 49ers with so many, he called them red butts in the seats. I think that just finally got to him and said he's got to go ahead and make a change and try to turn things around, because, Tepper is a businessman at heart, and he doesn't like losing, and he also doesn't like losing money. And when the fans turn on you, that's just a bad sign for an organization, because it's just hard to get it turned back around then. So, again, I think a lot of it was just so he's got to try to find a way to win the fans back, and the fans were screaming fire Rhule at every game, so he gave them what they wanted.
David, do you think that there's any chance of trading off some assets for draft picks so that they can focus on moving up and drafting the franchise quarterback? This appears to be a draft that'll have a few guys that could maybe fit that mold, but and they might have a great draft pick anyway, but you kind of have to guard against the Texans too, going and getting the guy you may want.
Yeah, I've heard that a bit about maybe they just go ahead and tank, but I mean, I think a lot of the pieces are here to build around. I mean, McCaffrey's the one piece I can see them moving on from, because he's got the big contract. He's 6 years in the league. He's got, had a lot of injuries here in the past, so they've really got to monitor his reps and practice a lot. So I could see them maybe doing that if they could find a contender that's willing to give up some nice pieces to, young pieces or draft picks to help them build. But I don't get the sense they want. I mean, David Tepper was kind of asked that, and he said, no, he wants to win. They don't think this division's, at a point right now where anybody's going to run away with it. So they feel like if they can win a few games, they can get back in this race. I know that's a long shot, but back in, I guess it was 2014, the team looked like totally out of it. I think it was 3-7-1, and Ron Rivera was the head coach, and he kept telling everybody how the division was a mess and they could still win it. And lo and behold, they went 8-7 or 7-8-1 and won a division. And actually won a playoff game, and you never know what's going to happen. So I think that's going to be the mindset they have here. Steve Wilkes, their interim coach, is going to be wanting to win because he would love to have the job full time, and he's not going to get that unless, as Matt Rhule said, he's exceptional, and the only way you can be exceptional is to win games. So, yeah, I can see him letting one player go like McCaffrey, but just not a wholesale change, just to tank.
Obviously, the owner was done and the fans were done. Did he ever, or was there ever a sign, David, he had lost his team?
I never got the sense of that. I talked to players after the game on Sunday night, one after another, said they were 100% behind Matt Rhule.
Phil Snow, as you and I traded a text or two, it's part of the shrapnel of coaching changes. It's a bloody business when things like this happen. Did you ever have a chance to visit with him and your thoughts about him not being there? Because obviously the interim coach is also a defensive coach.
Yeah, I think that's what hurt. I mean, Thad and his relationship with Matt Rhule. I mean, he's been with Matt since the Temple days, so they have a long-term relationship. He has his way of doing things. It's a little different than what Steve Wilkes wants to do. Steve was a defensive coordinator here in 2018, I believe, or 17. And I think he just felt like that he had to make a move there to take control of that unit. He's putting Al Holcomb in charge, so he wanted more control of that. He wants to tweak some things and he'll do things a little bit differently. And I think Phil was just kind of caught up in everything, and that's probably unfortunate because the defense was the one bright spot on this team.
So, David, I guess for Panthers fans, just kind of see how the rest of this plays out. There's a lot of season left, but of course, carousel stuff comes with that. Is Steve Wilkes, a good in-house candidate, and where else kind of makes sense as far as the rumor mill goes with a carousel starting up?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a good candidate. I mean, he was the head coach of Arizona, but they didn't really give him a chance because they hired him after one season and hired Cliff Kingsbury. But obviously, Sean Payton's a guy everybody's going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The problem there is, New Orleans still has the right to him for a couple more years, but they really want to, let him go to another team inside the NFC South. And also, what would they want? Would they want one, at least, I guess, one first-round pick, maybe two? And do the Panthers mortgage their future to get the head coach? I know teams have done that in the past, and it's worked out. But I just think that would be really a tough sell if they wanted to go that far. So, if it's all about money, David Tepper's got the money to pay for a coach like that. But it's all the other things you'd have to give up to get him. And then, again, New Orleans will have a say in that too. So, and there's also other teams, if Dallas were to fall apart, there's an option there. And there's other teams that'll be looking too. So, anyway, there's a lot of there. So, I think they'll really do a pretty wide search, and I think Wilkes will be one of the guys they consider.
David, one more thing from me on Matt Rhule. He obviously did great he did a great job at Temple, did a remarkable job at Baylor considering the timing and what he did. Does this, in your opinion, close out any chances he could still be hired in the NFL as a head coach going forward, or do you feel like he might jump right back into college football?
If I were him, I'd take some time off. He still got $40 million there, too.
Right?
So,
yeah, he does.
I'd take
Go to a beach
I'd take
or
a lot
something.
of time off, but he loves football.
Yep.
I think he'd be happy coaching a high school team if he had to. So I see him getting back into football at some point. Just depends on how much of the $40 million he wants to collect here. So, Steve Wilkes is a good example. He's a guy that was a head coach at Arizona. He went back to the college ranks. I know he was at Cleveland for a year or two as a defensive coordinator, but then he went back in the college ranks at Missouri, and then he came back into the NFL, and now he's getting another shot at least as an interim coach. So it can be done, and Matt really likes the pro game. So that's a factor too, and he would like to stay in it. It was kind of his dream to be here and succeed here. So I think if he gets the right opportunity, he would. You got Ben McAdoo that was on his staff that was the head coach of the Giants, and then he kind of worked his way back to an offensive coordinator here after a few years taking a step backwards at other positions at other teams. So yeah, you can do it. He loves coaching that much, and I can see that being a factor. And then I can also see him taking a college job. But It has to be the right situation for him.
Thank you, David. It was great talking to you back when all that started swirling. It happened quickly. We remember the visit with Tepper.
Life comes
Waco.
at you fast.
Yeah. And I did reach out to Matt, and obviously I know you have now to look forward to whatever happens from this point forward. We always appreciated your insight in helping us when that story started and now when it ended on Monday of this week.
Yep, it happened fast and ended fast.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much. That's David Newton. I also saw a quote David put up on his Twitter feed yesterday about Tepper gave Matt Rhule a 7-year guaranteed contract for what was it, like $62 million or whatever the number was. It was a huge number. Great for Matt to get it. His agent did a great job. He was a hot commodity. If it wouldn't have been Carolina, who else? It might have been somebody else. We always thought about the Jets. There was the chance it might have been New York. I mean, the Jets. It might have been the Giants. Who knows? Bottom line is, you know, I thought what he did under the circumstances was amazing. I do think that there were some that appreciated him, what he did at Baylor, but they were also kind of annoyed because it was always something out there, which he also let the players know. But he's gone. Carolina's gone. I actually saw this on some of the boards. Some said good riddance. I don't get that part.
I don't either, man.
And that's a whole nother segment because we have Mac Rhodes coming up next.
Yeah, that's one of those where it's like, well, you guys don't understand. You just saw him from covering him as the media and whatever, and like you didn't know the real, you know, whatever. And like that just gets into such like gossip stuff that I don't care to really dive into that. And, you know,
I'm not saying he was a flawless human being.
No. I'm not even saying there's like something scandalous. I'm just saying that like there's always like a, well, you only like him because he was nice to you at press conferences and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's when I saw him. So, like, yeah. What am I going to base it off of? Yeah. Your random rumor mill? So, I mean, everybody's got a reason for how they feel about somebody. And some people had reasons, I guess, to feel like, you know, it was they're better off without him or whatever. But I thought from where they were, if you look at them at their lowest to where they were with Matt Rhule by the end of it, yes, it was frustrating. Yes, it was annoying that you couldn't just enjoy them being at the Sugar Bowl and enjoy where he was building. But at the same time, he got them over a massive hump. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from the entire ordeal, and good luck to him.
I was told yesterday by somebody in administration that the feeding pool of people interested was maybe larger than you thought, but a lot that might have been really interested were scared to death of the NCAA investigation. But a lot of people were interested no matter what was going on at the time because Art Briles proved you could win here, and then eventually Matt Rhule did, and now Dave Aranda is. And so because of the talent that surrounds the Central Texas area. We got to go.
We got big Big 12 news.
Let's do this real quick, and then we got to get to Mac Rose. We can't keep him hanging too much. Jalen Daniels, Paul.
Out for the season, grade 3 separation. Zach Boyer of the Lawrence Journal-World reporting now out for the season. And it's Jason Bean as the starter now.
Who I thought performed very well in that game in the loss to TCU. That's a huge loss. And a great story in college football was Jalen Daniels, not just Kansas.
Jason Bean was sensational in you know, backup duty. He's a Mansfield, Texas guy, but, you know, obviously this is a huge blow for Kansas. No matter how you cut it, no matter how you slice it. I hate that for Jalen Daniels. I hate that for Lance Leipold and this Jayhawks team. And, you know, that's awful news. So good luck to him and that program.
When we come back, Mac Rhodes, Baylor's Director of Athletics. Many things to get to with him right here on 365 Sports. The City of Woodway, Cops and Kids Halloween Drive coming up on October the 29th. It's something they've done now for quite some time. What will it be Saturday, October 29th, Cops and Kids Drive-Thru, 6 until 8 that night at Woodway Activity Park. Join the Woodway Public Safety Department and Woodway Family Center for a fun trick-or-treat drive-thru. And you can put it on your calendar. You can be a part of it. Again, Cops and Kids Halloween Drive-Thru, October 29th from 6 until 8. It is free. If you want to go get trick-or-treat at Paul's house, text me and I'll give you his address. He will be there front, right there in the middle of that on that same Halloween night. Also, one other event that's going on, it's a little bit later on, it's in early November, Veterans Breakfast, November the 10th from 9 until 11 o'clock that morning, the Veterans Breakfast put on by the City of Woodway. For more information on that and the trails and the hikes and the hotels and other areas, it's discoverwoodway.com.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Hi, this is Paul Catalina. I recently got engaged to the love of my life, but the most important thing that I had to do before I popped the question was get that perfect ring. And I know nothing about rings. So I went to the wedding ring store, Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills Drive. I knew I needed a custom design, and that's exactly what they do. 9 out of 10 of their engagement rings are designed in-house. The entire process took less than a month, and they were great every step of the way. Great options on financing, excellent selection, and talented designers. My fiance and I get nonstop compliments on the ring. I only deserve credit for doing the smartest thing I could, walking into Boozer's and letting them work their magic. Your one-of-a-kind fiance deserves a one-of-a-kind ring, and that's what you get at Boozer's. Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store on Valley Mills Drive.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Matt Rhodes, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Here we go. David Smoak, Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, 365 Sports, joined by Baylor's Director of Athletics, Matt Rhode, on most every Tuesday here as we bring the fire and the heat with questions that he knows are coming to him. Thank you very much for your time. Glad you could be back with us again this week. I got a question. The Big 12 had this big marketing campaign up in New York City, the bright lights and all of what's up there. We know there's so much media and much more. That's kind of unique. Your thoughts about that event and how did it go?
Yeah, so I think, you know, Coach, and you tell me if we're talking about the same thing, Smoak, because I could be confused. It wouldn't be the first time. But Coach Drew and Bob Huggins, and I think that's what you're talking about, just in New York City and really promoting men's basketball, Big 12, all of that. And
that's it.
That actually starts tomorrow. And so just excited, that obviously Coach Drew's involved in it, and he'll be terrific. He'll be a great ambassador for the Big 12, for Big 12 basketball, and certainly for Baylor University. And I think it's a great idea. We talked about doing something different with media days for both men's and women's basketball, and probably just didn't have enough time to do more than what we're doing this year. But to bring both of those to the media center of the United States, and to have them in front of all kinds of different outlets, and to just talk about the excitement of Big 12 basketball, and really to reiterate that we are the number one men's basketball conference in the country.
I would watch a buddy comedy movie from 1987 that starred Bob Huggins and Scott Drew as two guys with different personalities on a caper in New York City.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Like you could do a Netflix series of the conversation in the back seat of the cab with both of them. But they're actually friends, and have got a really respectful relationship, and they'll certainly have a good time together, and I think they'll both do a great job in terms of, again, promoting the Big 12. So, two fairly different individuals.
Mac, obviously the break last week, or the open week there with football, to kind of collect themselves and get ready for the game here in a couple of nights against West Virginia, which never easy to play in Morgantown, much less a team kind of with their backs against the wall. I guess both teams really. But Thursday night's just kind of funky. Does that alter the schedule all that much for you guys? Does it just kind of move things up? Is it a little crazier when there's a Thursday night game as opposed to a Saturday game? How does all that sort of work on your end?
Yeah, Craig, it's a great question, and you actually obviously move everything up and adjust your days, and so for example, Sunday was like a weekday for us, and how we handled the meeting schedule, the practice schedule, etc. So it will be I think a really tough game. I think any road game this year in the Big 12 is going to be quite a challenge. The parity in this conference this year is amazing. Craig, you talked about we've lost all 5 meetings in Morgantown. We haven't won there, so that's been a really, really tough place. Obviously, in 2020, double overtime loss, and not that I really want to remember it, but coming back out of Morgantown is when we had 30 plus student athletes with COVID, and we had to shut it down. So the last time we were there, to say the least, was certainly not great memories. And so we're going to have to be sharp and ready to go, and see if we can come out of there with our first win.
Matt Rhule, Baylor's Director of Athletics, with us on 365 Sports. I know you don't need to divulge your meetings. You talk with Dave. You have discussions with Coach Aranda all of the time. It does seem as if one of his constant, I don't know if the word is frustrations, but one of the things that are going on as a team, it just seems like there's something missing. He's mentioned, in fact, immaturity or things like that along the way. How frustrated do you see him, or is he even someone that shows that?
I think, in in meetings or conversations we have, particularly following the game, I think there's some frustration, but with Coach, he's really, as we all know, even keel, and he's more analytical and what went well, what didn't go well, and I go back to keep pounding the rock. That's what this season feels like. The totality of the season, not just every moment. We haven't quite played a complete, full, great game yet, and I feel like each game it's been something a little bit different. And I say that with all due respect. A lot of that obviously has to do with the opponent, and playing at a BYU and playing a very good Oklahoma State game. But, you think about the Oklahoma State game and special teams and not kicking it into the end zone. And that's something we've been doing all year long. And then, giving up the touchdown and the other long return. And so I think it's just, we just got to keep working and keep, pounding the rock. And, I think, we still have an opportunity to have a great year. And obviously, a really tough task ahead of us on Thursday, but we just got to keep chipping away, keep getting it after it. Our young players need to continue to grow up, and I think we're going to be fine. And I'm hopeful that this is a team that our best football is still ahead of us.
What's it like being an athletic director in a conference that is having a really good year, knowing that you want your team to do well, but not having that stress of, oh man, this is a great year for the league. Oh, great, it's a great year for the league. Meaning you don't get a week off of taking a breath and kind of relaxing a little bit.
Yeah, it's a balance, right? And, I think there's different lenses, right? People know we're negotiating our current TV contracts early with our current partners, ESPN and Fox. And so, I think from that lens, this has been really good in terms of the parity of the league and just how good it's been, up to this point in time. And so that's been positive, and you're happy about that. But I'd also say that, whoever we play, whoever's our opponent that particular day or night, I'm certainly not rooting for them. I want them maybe to not play as well, and we have something to do with that. And, making sure that, here at the end of the year that we've got an opportunity to compete for the conference championship again.
Matt Rhule yesterday in Carolina was fired by the owner, David Tepper. He gave you 3 years, helped during a very toxic and difficult time, and obviously then decided to leave. He had the itch, the NFL. He's gone. Dave Aranda now is here, and people love him and are appreciative of him. What do you think about Matt and that story once you heard maybe he was no longer at Carolina?
Well, Matt, has we remain friends. I would even say brothers. I love him. I love his family, Julie and the kids. And so, I hated it for him. I really, really did. And, the NFL is a different gig, and, I'm certainly not an expert on it, but, I think his time there is certainly not a reflection of how good a person and how good of a coach he is. He is a tremendous football coach, and if he wants, he'll be back in the college game. And I've had a crazy day, but I guarantee you there's stories today about possible landing spots in college football for Matt Rhule. And I our fan base is grateful for the job he did and the time that he spent here. I really believe this to this day. There's only one of maybe 3, maybe 4 coaches that could have come into the circumstances that Matt did and turn around a culture, turn around a program. They're very, very few. Again, I can count them on one hand that could potentially have done that. And, I was happy that, he, as you said, an itch, but this dream of coaching in the NFL, and he got that opportunity. That was obviously bittersweet because of, he did a great job here and would have liked for him to stay a lot longer. But, God has a funny way of working all of that out, and God had a plan, and Matt moves on, and, we're blessed with another great head coach. And, and so I can sit here and say proudly, I'm grateful that Dave Aranda is our head coach, and it's an honor and a privilege to go to work with him each and every day. And Matt will land on his feet, and he'll have opportunity. There's no doubt, and I love him and certainly wish him the very best.
One more question on that: if a college does contact you, and I can't imagine they wouldn't, would that be an emphatic positive yes on your opinion that they should go? Obviously, who knows about the itch that he'll always have again about the NFL, but that was probably the one negative, if they look at it that way. But look at the money he got, even now that he's out of a job. But would it be an emphatic yes? Take him; he'll rebuild whatever you need.
Yeah, it would be. I would tell him that you're hiring the second best college football coach in the country to Dave Aranda. So, but absolutely, I would.
I got a question from Jeff. He listens and watches us, Mac, from Mexico City. He was discussing the playoffs that eventually, whenever that eventually starts, but he was discussing first-round games that might be in like early December after the conference championship games, whether there's a bye week or off week, whatever. How will that, or has anything even been brought up about how that might affect National Signing Day in December with games going on?
Yeah, that is a really insightful question, and it's one that I sit on the football oversight committee, and then I'm on a recruiting subcommittee, and so right now we're in the middle of really taking a hard look at the annual recruiting calendar for both FBS and FCS, and so it's top of mind in how we figure that out. I think it's too early. I think there's a lot of fluidity. I think there's conversation about moving. The champ came back, and obviously the semifinals to accommodate the earlier rounds. There's conversations about moving up conference championship games by a week, and now week 0 becomes week 1. And until all of that stuff is settled, we'll have to figure out, we'll then figure out, what does the early signing period look like, and the transfer portal window that's, begins early December and runs through mid-January. So all of those things, I wish I had a definitive answer, but at this point we don't. They're on our mind. We're having conversation, but still too early to really make a determination.
You hired Nikki Collin for a lot of reasons, and last year they had a pretty successful year. The standard is so high. But a couple of weeks ago, we didn't have a chance to visit with you. She, when they started practice in early October, she was asked a question about Brittany Griner, and her answer was pretty amazing. What she said and what she meant, and also how she handled that. I know you heard that part. How much response did you get across the board about Nikki that day?
Yeah, tremendous. Tremendous from everybody. And some people, some of those folks, I actually talked to personally, and I said that's just Nikki being Nikki. That's who she is. That was a reflection of the love and care that she has for her current student athletes and the relationship that she has with them. And, and that's not to say she pushes them, she challenges them to be great in everything, but she's got great love and compassion for people. And it's one of the reasons why, the team last year, and I would expect nothing different, would and will and does run through a brick wall for her. And, she believes in family, and she talked about, Baylor's family, and those that have come before her are part of the family and will always be part of the family. And that's just her. And, she, those aren't just words for her. It's the way she lives her life, and it's the way she leads our program.
Mac, thank you very much. Good luck in Morgantown. Thanks for your time. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Take care.
Mac Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on 365 Sports.
Really thought he was going to flame Matt Rhule and be like, no, I'm not going to nominate him for any job or give him any kind of good review. Yeah, that would have really been a spicy take. But
yeah, no. And he admitted, he goes, he wish he was been here longer, but it's weird how things work out, how it does, and they did, and they have Dave Aranda. Everything's great. Matt Rhule will find a place. But you knew when they extended Rhule's contract his last year, it was a sign.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a sign of respect for they had just beaten Iowa State. They were having a special year. It was going to get better, but that was disappointing. I know Mac was kind of disappointed by 2 months later that he was gone.
It seemed like an extension in name only, and it really seemed like it was just trying to stave off the noise surrounding the fact that he was probably going to be gone pretty soon, because you could tell that was almost inevitable, and there they were in the run that they were in, and so what could possibly derail this? Well, a bunch of rumors about your head coach leaving, and so I think that was just kind of let's put a Band-Aid on this for right now. And then once you got into bowl season and it was like the inevitable, all these jobs are opening up, is like, yeah, let's rip the Band-Aid off.
He was more open about that than any coach ever.
Oh, yeah.
And
with his players, recruits, his staff.
Yeah, everybody. I don't think obviously it's not going to help in recruiting to be like, they're calling, but he's open, which makes me respect him. I know there's a ton of Baylor fans I'm friends with that just can't believe he was so open about it, and we're mad about it, and I get it, but it made me respect him a whole lot that he's like, yes, look, these things happen, and it's going to happen in your life where all of a sudden somebody can. So
it certainly. I mean, there wasn't any really great positives out of that, but I guess it certainly beat the whole being delusional and thinking that there's no way he's going to turn down an NFL job there's no way he's not going to take an NFL job like Carolina to stay at Baylor. I know that was wishful thinking, but at least him being open about it pretty much told you, if the right job calls, I'm out of here. And so you were able to, previous to that eventual decision, let yourself down and let yourself know that, hey, he's going to probably be gone. So enjoy it while you can. And I think that was the rough part, was you couldn't really enjoy it, though. Even though you knew kind of what was what, I don't think many people enjoyed that New Orleans trip. And overall, and obviously not the game. Little did we know how, Georgia would then go win the national title the next year, but still, it was surrounded that whole week by that kind of talk. And I think that was really kind of a downer for everybody involved, but there was no way to really do it other than him leaving before the game and saying, see you later. And that wouldn't have gone over well. So it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. Just a tough situation for everybody involved.
Bobby B on the chat room. I like Rhule, still do agree with Mac. He was a game changer for us. Appreciative. Thank you as well to Mac. You orchestrated these great hires we've had. One of the things I'll never forget, on the day that they announced he was going to Carolina, I asked him about the Sugar Bowl. And he admitted he will always wonder whether or not that – now, Georgia was really good, a better team, but Baylor was lethargic. You know, he admitted, and at least he did, that he always wonders about whether or not, had that not been looming over the program or over that week in New Orleans, especially those last 2 or 3 days, if that would not have helped at least the team perform better. And he said he'll always remember that part and wonder. All right, when we come back, Craig Smoak off the radar. This is 365 Sports. Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans. The other day I went by there, and I try to go by there about once a month, see Carol, Ashley, Cheyenne, and what they have. I like to smoke cigars, and they have a 48-foot walk-in humidor just loaded with them. Loaded with them. I got one. It's not one of those. It's expensive. It's not some like famous brand, but it's a Churchill length and maybe longer than Churchill length. It's called the All-American. Not again, it's like $4, $5, $6. I don't even remember. It might have been $12. But I enjoyed it when I was playing around at golf, because when you're playing golf, for some reason, that's where I feel comfortable smoking a cigar. On the first tee box, it's just kind of I light one up, and then I have it while I'm playing around at golf. On occasion, I will accidentally put it down to hit a shot and leave it, and then it's too late. And then sometimes I'm so focused I don't want to have anything else but playing the round of golf. But when I get my cigars, I go to Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills. CBD products to help you with many things, including being able to fall asleep a lot easier and not lose 45 minutes to an hour of tossing and turning. Cigars, coffee beans, all of what you need when it comes to CBD products. It's Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar on 365 Sports. This is a segment around 4:45 or later. It's like almost 5, but that's kind of how we do it. It's in that vicinity on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where we just take a look at some stories. Some could be from around college football, even though that's our normal bread and butter. Some are definitely from outside of those college football walls. And, just kind of take a look at a grab bag of stuff over this segment. So going back to Monday Night Football, which we kind of talked about the officiating side of things last night, which was it was pathetic. And the NFL really, if there's any cracks in the armor, I think we've seen those the last 2 weeks, stemming from the Tua injury to, all the way to last night with some of the calls. But there was another ugly situation after that game ended, and that was involving Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams. Did you guys see this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's walking towards the tunnel. A cameraman was in the way, and Davante Adams just kind of pushes the guy, and he ends up falling down while he was carrying equipment. I'm not sure if he was a cameraman, but that's what I assumed because he just had some stuff he was carrying. But Davante Adams has released an apology. He said, "I want to apologize to the guy. There was some guy running off the field, and he jumped in front of me coming off the field, and I bumped into him, kind of pushed him, and he ended up on the ground. So I wanted to say sorry to him for that because I was just frustration mixed with him literally just running in front of me. I shouldn't have responded that way, but that's how I initially responded. So I want to apologize to him for that." It turns out the guy was a freelancer working Monday Night Football. He did, in fact, file a police report. They say they'll investigate the incident, and he was transported to the hospital with preliminary injuries thought to not be life-threatening. So good news there. Yeah. And had they been, there would be some major questions because there was nothing life-threatening about the way, he got pushed. But that was obviously a really bad look. So Davante Adams with his apology there.
He didn't kind of push him.
No, he didn't. He's being very loose with how he's describing the way that went down. The guy kind of got in front of me, and then I kind of put kind of
pushed him as
exactly.
What are you doing?
I was kind of pushing you.
I feel like,
oh, come on. Get us derailed here. All right, stop. He didn't kind of, but you're right. It was so what did y'all think of that? I'm not going to hold this against Davante Adams.
No,
I know he was frustrated.
Stuff
So
happens.
He's apologized, and there you have that.
I hope the guy gets a little money, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will.
I hope he gets a little money.
Why does he get money? Because to cover
got hurt?
hospital costs.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Okay.
Yeah,
You live in America?
Yeah.
When people sue over?
I understand, but he get money just because he was pushed.
Oh my gosh! 5 seconds after it was over, there was Twitter of I'd sue, and then and gifs and memes of this guy with a person in a neck brace saying "ow, ow." That was everybody's first thought was that he's going to sue. So we'll see. As far as that goes, but. At least Davante Adams has addressed it. Meanwhile, it was a thrilling game as the Chiefs did take home the win 30-29 over the Raiders. And Las Vegas just continues to struggle. Now 1-4. They'll head into the bye week, but they were up at 1 point 17-0 in the second quarter. And I don't know about y'all, but I felt like you got to be up by more than that for this thing to be over against the Chiefs. And sure enough, there came KC, and a lot of other stuff happened with calls and whatnot. But a great win for Kansas City, brutal loss for the Raiders, I felt like.
Yeah, the Raiders are in a bad way. I never got the McDaniels hire. I don't know.
Like, I get it, but I didn't feel like that was like, oh, wow, they got Josh McDaniels, you know?
He's won one game as a head coach. I mean, of course, the last time he was 2010, but I don't know. He just doesn't seem to me to have it. But again, I've been wrong before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was a good win for KC.
They lost by 5. They lost by 6. They lost by 2, and they lost by 1.
Yeah, they're in the mix every single week.
The Chargers, Cardinals. No, the Titans loss is bad, and then to the Chiefs. So.
Yeah, and I should say, too, when I was talking about Devontae Adams, he had a really good game. And that was unfortunate that not only did they lose, but he also had a couple touchdowns, had like 130-something yards. So he had a great game, but unfortunately for him, people are only going to remember the loss and then subsequently his reaction afterwards. But like we said, emotions and whatnot, I'm not going to, be like Twitter guy and proclaim him a bad person and wish him to hell and all that. Like, just don't make that mistake next time and blow off some steam in a different way than pushing a guy. But the Raiders move on, the Chiefs move on, and the NFL moves on to hopefully a better week of officiating and figuring out what the heck they want to do about touching the quarterback, because this is just getting super ridiculous at this point.
Yep.
Elsewhere, and by the way, nearly 16 million tuning in for that game last night, Monday Night Football, 15.78. Had another 100K on ESPN Deportes, and then you would have had more if there was a Manning cast, I'm sure, but there was no Manning cast last night. So nearly 16 million for Monday Night Football.
All right, well, we discussed numbers and stuff like that. Sunday morning's game in Europe had the largest audience ever for an international game. The Packers and who they play?
The Giants.
And the
lost.
Giants, of course.
Giants won.
Sunday morning. Giants and Packers, you have the Packers audience. They're kind of like one of those 5 teams that no matter where they play, it's a huge get. But just thought that I saw that earlier today as well.
All right, elsewhere you had, let's see here. Do I want to get to that first or do I want to get to that? I guess I'll get to some baseball. And let's start off with the bad news that comes out of the world of baseball first. You remember the untimely passing of one Tyler Skaggs, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
The Angels pitcher who was in Arlington in the DFW area for a game against the Rangers a few years back. He ended up overdosing on drugs, obviously, and dying while in Texas. An Angels employee, eventually going through text and whatnot, got connected to it, a man by the name of Eric Kay. Well, he's been on trial here recently, and he's now received his sentence. Former Angels employee Eric Kay, who was the person who I guess delivered the drugs to Tyler Skaggs that ultimately cost his death, sentenced to 22 years after the verdict came back in Fort Worth. So he was read his sentence. He faced at least 20 in prison on one of the 2 counts, and his family, the family of Tyler Skaggs, I should say, released a statement afterwards. They were saying that they were grateful for everybody who worked on the case to prosecute Eric Kay. There was a bunch of evidence presented where he was making derogatory comments about Skaggs, the lawyers, the jurors, and phone calls and emails that were looked over after he had been convicted. So just doesn't seem like a great guy. All that, and then there you are in February, and you're talking bad about all the people who are mad at you because you indirectly or directly led to, somebody dying. So for those wanting justice, you can't bring Tyler Skaggs back. And, it's a little bit more complicated than just being this black and white, but 22 years for the Angels employee. So that's an interesting end result there. And meanwhile, in Major League Baseball, we do have the playoffs going on right now, and it's a very busy day today. Right now, you've got Seattle and Houston currently in action, and at last glance, it is 6-3 Mariners, the end of the 6th inning. So a little trouble down in Houston, but still a few more innings to go there. That'd be quite the victory for Seattle to win Game 1 in Houston, but that's on TBS at the moment. Later on, just after 6:30 Central, you'll have the Guardians at the Yankees, ALDS Game 1, and then later on tonight, around 8:30-ish, over on FS1, it'll be the Padres at the Dodgers, NLDS Game 1. And we've already had one result. Phillies beat the Braves 7-6. So Philly leads that series 1-0.
They're hot.
Matt Olson hit a 3-run homer for the Braves in the 9th and made that really interesting. The Mariners jumped all over Justin Verlander today, all over him.
Yep.
And so we'll see. I mean, the Astros have fallen on their face in Game 1 of series before, but
sure.
I would love to see the Mariners in the ALCS. I'm enjoying. If the Red Sox are not going to be in it, I want to see new blood. If the Red Sox are in it, I don't care about your new blood. Give me my guys.
So the TV networks are definitely, if they could choose, they're definitely choosing Astros, Yankees, right?
Yeah.
But I think common man's probably wanting Mariners, Guardians, right? And then on the other side, definitely the Dodgers. And would you rather have Philly or Atlanta? I guess Philly's the bigger market, but I think you're probably splitting hairs there.
Yeah.
Is it the bigger market still? I think it is.
Atlanta's
but probably
huge.
Probably not by much at this point, but yeah, so you have 3 games still to come, but right now 6-3 Mariners over the Astros in Houston. Game 1 of that series.
4-8. Philadelphia's 4, Atlanta's 8 market size.
Oh, okay. So they're pretty close.
10,
yeah, they're pretty close there. I did see one college football scheduling note, and I'll close it out with some college football here. Alabama has signed an agreement to play West Virginia.
Yeah.
They'll play in Morgantown on September the 5th, 2026. So that seems like it's forever away, but not really. That's 4 seasons from now. So we'll get West Virginia, Alabama in Morgantown in 2026. And then a year later, the return trip, Mountaineers will head to Tuscaloosa to take on the Crimson Tide on September 4th, 2027. So Mountaineer Paul, and I'm not talking to our Paul here, but Mountaineer Paul and all the others, listen to the show. Shout out to you fellas and ladies as well. And that should be pretty cool to go play Alabama in a home and home. So I wanted to mention that because I saw that across the ticker just a little bit earlier. And we'll finally end with this. I barked about the college football ratings earlier, but I bark about it for a very specific reason, and that is because I think it's interesting to see what the numbers are. I just don't want to see us find ourselves in a situation where we're comparing these ratings like they're the actual game results. That's what I want to avoid. So I'm all for talking about big numbers and things like that, and it's interesting. But after the realignment wave and just how much that was discussed, there's enough petty arguments. I don't want to start barking about we had 500,000 more on FS1 versus you in this window, like all that junk. So I'll leave that to everybody else who loves debating that. But here's just the pure top rankings from college football this past weekend. A&M and Alabama, surprise, surprise, the number 1 game viewed this past weekend, Saturday night, 8 o'clock. 7.15 million, which I believe is now the second largest number since, or the 4th largest audience overall on the year. And I think it was the second largest number since Texas and Alabama, if I read that correctly. Number 2 game, Ohio State, Michigan State, which was a freaking blowout. That's still the number 2 game, 4.44 million, so a pretty significant drop there. Auburn, Georgia pulled in 4.24 million.
Another lopsided game, although the first half was a little bit,
but still another blowout. Yeah. Michigan, Indiana, 4.01 million, and then Texas, Oklahoma, the number 5 broadcast with 3.36 million. So those were the 5 broadcasts, all 3 million or more. And yeah, OU Texas actually number 5 behind Michigan, Indiana. Shows you what a Big Ten audience is.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily great football. That's what my ratings thing's about too. Is like not only it can become a really petty argument because there are differences in the channels that you watch and the time frames and all of that, but there's just some brands that no matter what, they're just going to be bigger. There's nothing you can do about that. But some other interesting one, nearly 3 million for Tennessee LSU. Utah UCLA pulled in 2.65. BYU Notre Dame 2.53. And then Clemson Boston College 1.93. I believe that's about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, one more. Washington State USC, a healthy 1.84. Tech Oklahoma State 1.6, TCU, Kansas, 1.3. Those were some of the numbers. Pretty good numbers overall, but A&M, Alabama, by far the largest audience, and Ohio State's just a juggernaut when it comes to the ratings as well. So there's a few things off of the radar.
Thank you, Craig. Some common denominators with those teams that have been getting the bigger numbers, and no question, that's not a surprise. When we come back, J.J. Joe, former Baylor quarterback, Baylor radio color analyst. He'll look at Baylor, West Virginia, and also What could have been done during the off week? That's next on 365 Sports.
During Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels, our great selection of new cars and trucks come with amazing deals and competitive financing that makes you ask, why shop anywhere else? The new 2022 Ram trucks are designed to be durable, functional, and stylish. These legendary, award-winning trucks give you that first-class feel. Luxurious leather trim seating options, exceptional legroom and storage, plus surround view camera options you'd expect from a premium truck. Come see our selection today or browse online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
And Reese, no chance. It's a keeper. Look at the quarterback shaping. Fooled everyone. Touchdown, Baylor.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Second down and 15. Joe Bonner. He's loose. He's got his second touchdown. No flags. 69 yards on that score. Tony Bowie missed the tackle. And somewhat shockingly, this game is tied.
It's time for our weekly segment with former Baylor quarterback J.J. Joe. Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
JJ joins us Tuesday evenings a little after 5. Also, Baylor Radio color analyst joins us on 365 Sports. JJ, if in fact you would have dialed up whatever Baylor was working on last week, what would have been your bullet points?
Oh, well, that's a good one. I mean, I think I think most of it's Smoak, between the ears, really. And just in the coach talk, I read some stuff and sounds like they really focus on the fundamentals, which I think that's always important. But I think ultimately, for this team, it's all about, just kind of working on them between their ears and then really just kind of honing in on kind of who are we? Because I think that's where the gap has been, that, we kind of have some of the remnants of last year, but at the same time, this is a totally different group, totally different dynamic, and you got to figure out what kind of team we're going to be. So I bet it was an interesting week.
JJ, this team was so physical last year, and they've lost a little bit of that. Is it a good time during the bye week to maybe ratchet some of that? I know you don't want to hurt anybody, but maybe ratchet up some of that intensity to try to get that edge back.
Well, yeah, and that's a good one, Paul. I mean, it's a fine line though, right? Because you're 5 weeks into the season, 6 weeks in. And you just can't afford to get guys hurt. Now, they're a physical team, so they're going to do enough, contact to keep that mentality. But I think it's part of that. And then part of it is just really just the attention to detail. Looking at, you're going to spend a lot of time in film, watching, video of kind of, where the game turned, kind of who made the play, who didn't make the play. You are going to have those physical periods. But I think ultimately for this team, if they get more of a mentality to say, hey, look, these are the kind of games we're going to be in. We're going to be in physical, grinded out games where then we'll be explosive with, kind of our pass game. But ultimately, I think you got to get the guys ready mentally. Like, look, these games are going to be hard. And the one who's ready to deal with the hard parts the most often are the team is going to win when we play. So, I think it's between the ears, 100%.
JJ, how hard is it to balance success and keep your edge when you're having success, if that makes sense? I mean, like one of the comments that he made was a lot about talking about playing with an edge, and specifically with like the offensive line, for example. I think probably some of that comes from, hearing all the talk from last year and how good they were and winning and all of that. So when you have that edge, but then you have that success and you get that praise, how hard is it to maintain that for an athlete?
It's tough, man. It's all human nature, and you got to think about. We're talking about, even though these guys are veterans, Craig. I mean, these guys are at 22, 23, maybe at the oldest. So it's human nature. You hear all the success, and you feel like well, maybe we have it made, but you really just. And I think I talked to you guys last week about this. I mean, just. Being on top is different. It's just a different mentality. And, it's different for a program. It's different for Baylor, being at the top and realizing that, look, no, you're going to get each team's best shot. I mean, really best shot. I mean, they're going to empty the whole chamber on you. And that's what we're seeing now. I mean, the stuff that, OU, of course, they're struggling this year, but OU is kind of having to face every week because they won so many championships. Our guys are facing. And we are, or have been, Team Super Bowl this year. We were BYU Super Bowl. I think Oklahoma State came out firing. They just felt like, hey, look, we're trying to prove something. So that's why I say it's between the ears. The guys have to get ready that this stuff is hard, is really, really, really hard. And to do it again is even harder. And that's where we are.
How much do you think that might bother Dave Aranda, who you would think can monitor that and understand that, and that's kind of, the way he is philosophically, that perhaps at times that he's underestimated where they are?
Well, I think to make this meal is a lot of different ingredients, and a lot of the connectivity is not just the players, it's the coaches too. And I think, that's what I think Coach Aranda is still a young head coach. This is his third season. Mm-hmm. So I think he's learning, having to monitor and kind of get the pulse of the whole unit. And I think this is, I'm not going to say it's a new form, but I think it is something that he is learning while trying to figure this out. And I think like the big thing to me as you look at it is that I think he likes to gives his coaches autonomy. I get the sense he gives them the autonomy. He tells them kind of what he wants. I'm sure he gives input, but he tries not to overload them. And I think from that perspective, if that is what he's doing, I really do think he, especially offensively, has to say, you know, and I guess he's doing it. This is what I think we need to do this week. This is how we need to go about it. And I want us to stay true to it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's tough when you got a guy, you know, I mean, like Grimes, it's like fantastic and he's great. But I think, you know, for this team, and I said it last week on the radio to you guys, man, that I mean, with the line you have, you know, you just got to tell teams, look, this is what we're going to do, and I'm going to make you stop it. And then when you feel like you got to get down here and stop it, I got a couple guys that'll run by you. You know, I mean, that to me, that's how this team wins. And it's great to have that. You know, I mean, shoot, Blake Chapin is a great toy, man. I'm telling you, because he can sling it. But it's tempting sometimes to overuse that toy, and you gotta stay away from it if your line is who we think they are.
Tomorrow we have a guy named Landry Burdine.
Oh yeah,
on the show, does some stuff with TCU. We set that up for tomorrow, and
oh wow,
he sent me a text and said, "Tell my son JJ Joe, Landry Burdine said hello."
Hello, Landry. That's hey man, that's old Viking there too. Oh, Burdine is, yeah. He's a little younger than me. He's a pup. I think he's a little young. Yeah, he's a little younger than me, but that's a great guy.
Just wanted to throw that out there for you because he asked me to tell you that today.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
JJ, West Virginia's secondary is probably their biggest weakness. I've been on 2 of the 3 different West Virginia podcasts I'm going on this week, and they both lamented it greatly. Is this a matchup that can be good for the receivers, particularly to start to build some confidence? Because it hasn't mattered what West Virginia's done; they can't stop anybody through the air.
Yeah, I'm hoping, but because their front, they still have some decent bodies up front. I think they still have one of those Steele brothers there. Yeah, golly, those guys have been in college like 12 years, man. But I do agree that, you know, we're going to have to throw the ball. Don't get misinterpret my message. My message is I know we have to throw the ball. But, I think the attitude for this team is established by physically wearing on other teams. If we don't physically wear on another team, I think the efficacy of what we're trying to do really is not as pronounced in the fourth quarter. And that's when we really need to get to the point where we take things away from teams. So I think, on Thursday, it's going to be a tough environment. Our guys on the edge have to make some plays. That's their weakness. We need to be able to attack it. But I don't think we can get so carried away at attacking it that we forget that, for this final run, we're gonna have to be really physical, and we're gonna go against the meat of our schedule here. And we gotta go take it some teams. And normally, with this group, you're gonna do that up front.
One more thing, JJ, as far as Graham Harrell's influence on West Virginia's offense, have you seen a difference?
I saw him. I watched him in Virginia Tech, that W they got. And I watched him, I think, that first week against Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. I think that's right. I think they played Pittsburgh. Yep. And, these spreads and now, the way it is, Graham, air raid guy, tech guy. For me, obviously there's some small differences, but, they have a good quarterback. They can operate it now. And I think, it's not a significant difference to me, but I'm sure there are some tweaks in there. But I think for us, Dave, I think for on Thursday night, I think for us, really, it's going to boil down to, how effectively we help keep those guys off the field, mm-hmm. how physical we are with West Virginia, and because I think if we let them play how they're going to play us, right? They're going to attack our weak. I hate to use the word weak, but the edge of our defense that has less experience in the middle, and then that can turn into a really challenging contest for us if we let them play like they want to play, and then we try to play that game with them.
They did lose.
They'll attack our guys on the corner.
They did lose their big banger at running back, but they have others. But they lost Donaldson for this week in concussion protocol. Jalen Daniels, I don't know if you've heard this news, the Kansas quarterback that's been spectacular, although Bean played really well in the loss to TCU. Grade 3, is that right, Paul? Grade 3 separation, out for the year.
Now, I did just get a text from a Kansas friend of mine that said that Kobe Bryant, their defensive back, responded to On3's Instagram page and saying that that's not true, but we'll see. But it was a guy from the Lawrence Journal-World, that reported.
So that could be the case, but I thought Bean played very well in the moment and looked like he's matured for the last couple of years.
Yeah, no.
I like Bean. I mean, I liked him last year. I mean, I didn't see as much of because I think Bean played against us. Jalen played a little bit, I think. But I hate that I'm really impressed by that young man. So I hope that's not the case. I hope he's able to kind of come back. But that's bad news, man.
It is. He's terrific, and Bean can play like he did, though. Like maybe he'll still keep it going, but that's obviously terrible for Jalen Daniels. Yeah.
Yeah, Bean can run, man. I mean, he's more of an accurate thrower than you think, and it looked like in that game he was very poised, but he's a runner. I mean, like if you let that kid and think about what Spencer Sanders did against us. You let him find space, he accelerates really quickly.
Does he look like Seth Russell to you running the ball?
No, well, you know what I mean. I mean, he's kind of long like Seth.
Yeah.
Seth, it was funny because to me, Seth was a little stiffer than Bean, just a little bit, but Seth was moving, man. I mean, you didn't think he was moving. So, but similar body build, I would say that similar body build.
JJ, final thing for you here, and I'm not trying to be like overly dramatic guy or anything like that, but I've kind of been looking at this game from various angles, and I hate to use must win halfway through the season, but does this in some ways, being at 3-2 and looking at the rest of the schedule, does this feel kind of like a must win coming up on Thursday? It feels like that for West Virginia, but I think it also feels like that for Baylor. What are your thoughts?
You know, that's a good one. I mean, this would give us two conference losses, so I think mathematically no. With everybody, I know we have not Kansas, but who's undefeated?
K-State.
K-State's undefeated in conference, and Oklahoma State. So, you know, you would kind of be behind the 8 ball. So I'm not going to say mathematically it's not a must win. I think psychologically for this team it's a must win.
Yeah.
I think psychologically they will not recover if we lost this game. That's just my opinion.
Did anyone ever say you threw the ball like Quinn Ewers?
No, man, nothing like that. That kid, man, I'll tell you, man, hey, I wasn't sure about that kid, but I mean, hey, he's got something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does.
He's got something, and I'm interested to see. And I think, you know, he did play a tough game with Alabama, but I still believe that he's got some growing pains like we always see, in that the Alabama game, to me, where he played well. I was very surprised. It was the perfect game for Texas. Because you had Sark there. Sark knew exactly how to attack him. He had a whole summer to prepare for Snick, and he had the perfect plan. They just couldn't cap it off. And then OU is you know, they're struggling. And hey, look, but we've been there. You know, when you lose that kind of, no matter how good you were the year before, when you have that much turnover, we went through it from 19 to 20. You're just going to have some fall off, and I think that's what they're feeling.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate it. Great stuff today, as always. JJ Joe, former Baylor quarterback, color analyst for Baylor Radio.
So while he closed by talking a little bit about Oklahoma there, do I have time to read these stats off real quick? So this is from Gabe Eichert, who is a former Oklahoma offensive lineman who now does Sirius XM and stuff like that. I think he's got a podcast as well talking Oklahoma football, but I'm sure you've seen him around if you watch enough college football stuff. But he had a stat from a little while ago that he titled one tweet about it saying, "I've stared at this for 5 straight minutes. It's startling." And I'm, there's a lot of hyperbole on Twitter about this is the greatest thing ever, or whatever. So I'm like, okay, let me see what he's staring at his computer over. And then I stared at my computer for 5 straight minutes. Here is what he had to say, or here's what he posted. The rushing defense stats in the Big 12 currently. You have a bunch of teams who have played 6 games and a few like Baylor, West Virginia, Oak State, and TCU who have played 5. But through those 5 and 6 games, right now, over the entire season, Iowa State average yards per game has the best rushing defense in the Big 12. Does that surprise you in any way?
No, not really.
91 yards a game on the ground is what Iowa State's defense is giving up. Who would you think is number 2 if you just had to venture a guess?
In the Big 12?
Yes.
Baylor.
Yeah. Baylor gives up 96.8 yards rushing per game through 5 games. Those are the only 2 that are under 100 yards. West Virginia gives up a shade over 100 yards, 100.6. You got Oak State, Kansas, Texas, K-State, TCU, Texas Tech. And that leaves one, and Texas Tech, to give you kind of the range here. Iowa State and Baylor, sub 100. West Virginia, 100, all the way to Tech, who's 146. They gave up 146 yards per game on the ground. Team number 10, the Oklahoma Sooners. I don't think it comes as a surprise that they give up the most rushing yards per game. But you go from Tech at number 9 giving up 146.5 to Oklahoma giving up 214.5 yards per game through their entire schedule on the ground. They're giving up over 200 yards rushing per game. Now, that includes some of those gimmies that they had early on. You subtract the non-conference games, and you get into just strictly Big 12 contests. And some teams have played 3 games, some teams have played 2. Oklahoma's a team that's played 3. But the best rushing defense so far in the Big 12, you want to venture a guess? Just Big 12 play only.
Iowa State?
Kansas, actually. Okay. 105.33 yards per game. Kansas is averaging on rushing defense. Baylor, number 2, giving up 116 in Big 12 play per game. Texas, 121. Iowa State, 122. Oak State, K-State, West Virginia, TCU. Then you get into where the numbers kind of climb. Like Kansas is 105, and you very quickly get to West Virginia, who's given up over 150 per. TCU giving up 184 rushing yards per game in Big 12 play. I think that's notable. Texas Tech giving up 210 yards per game rushing yardage through 3 Big 12 games so far. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's not great. You don't give up 200 average. But the same team at number 10, looking at the whole season, is the same team at number 10 looking at just their 3 Big 12 contests, which, of course, is the Oklahoma Sooners. 310 yards rushing per game is what they're averaging, giving up so far through 3 Big 12 games. 310 yards rushing through 3 Big 12 games on average. Well, that is not surprising, I understand, but that's still like, holy cow.
You know what that's like? What they used to do to everybody else in the Big 8 back in the day with the bone.
I think if I'm Kansas this week and have to roll out Jason Bean to start, even though he played really well, that takes a lot of pressure off him having to throw the ball. If you can just run the ball right at him for a little while and do that.
Man. Yeah. So, like, you have KU, Baylor, Texas, Iowa State, Oak State, K-State, right? All of them give up sub 150 per average in the Big 12. You got West Virginia and TCU between the 150 and the 200 mark. And then Tech, obviously, a little over 200. But then from 9 to 10, from Tech's 210, they're giving up an additional 100 yards per game. Like, well, that's crazy. So, I mean, start there. There's a lot of other problems. But that was, that was quite the stat. And it's not surprising, like I said, but it's still startling.
Garrett, that blows me away because they used to average 300 yards on the ground back in the day, and really for a long, even now they've done that against some teams. Garrett, not the first week, the second one with the UT quarterback stat that this is from Max Olson. Texas is averaging 4.37 points per drive when Quinn Ewers is on the field. Ohio State is currently the number 1 scoring team in the country at 4.13 points per drive. So that's the kind of lift. And I don't know what the stat was of Hudson Card. They still were very effective, but that is something that there's one of those stats. I love stats. I love historical stuff, but just wanted to throw that in with you as well.
I do think that Oklahoma's kind of skewed these stats in the Big 12 for everybody who's played them, as far as their offensive stats go. So I'll be very curious to see how that evens out because I think Quinn Ewers is still going to be pretty amazing no matter who he's playing. But, And I also think that they're going to roll over the Cyclones this weekend, but they are going to start facing some of the better defenses. So that will be a fun little, starting with Iowa State. Like Iowa State, I don't know if they can keep up, but I know they can play good defense. And so that'll be a fun little team to see him play against. And, ultimately Oak State and Baylor and the rest of them. But yeah, he's been very good in a very short amount of time.
It sure helps when you have somebody, when you're multidimensional on offense, you can run it, you can throw it, they can do both. Some can, some can't. And sometimes you don't have to, but it sure does help to have the weapons around you. When we come back, John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, will join us on many things NFL. This is 365 Sports. Pickup Outfitters, 25 years, the highest quality, top brand vehicle accessories, and they have them professionally available to install them for you to factory specifications, all with outstanding customer service. Products to pick and choose from. Pickup Outfitters has the largest selection of covers from all the major manufacturers, folding, retractable, rolling. They have them all. Stop by the showroom to check out the displays. Pick up the right bed cover for your truck if it did not come with one. Also, the family SUVs, hard sometimes to climb into. Make your entry smooth and easy by putting some step bars or running boards. These aren't just for you. Make it easy for your spouse, girlfriend, kids, or even grandkids to get and climb into whatever vehicle you drive. Also, it's deer season, right? Or it's hunting season around the corner right now. In fact, what a better way to end the front truck part of your truck with making sure you protect yourself with a grill guard in the front or bull bar as well. They have bull bars, bumper guards, and grill guards at Pickup Outfitters. You can right now. It's 220 Lake Air Drive. Remember, everything purchased and installed at Pickup Outfitters comes with their famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. J. Arid & Company, createacommotion.com.
The wait is over. Richard Carr GMC has the trucks. 2022 GMC Sierras have hit the lot, and they're waiting for you. Sierra trucks offer best-in-class towing, strong steel beds, multi-pro tailgates, and advanced features that make driving a Sierra second to none. Trucks are waiting for you to test drive now. So call now, log in now, or get here now and drive your next truck today at Richard Carr.
Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Looking for a great job with great pay and awesome benefits? Genco FCU is hiring. As a longtime Waco employer, Genco focuses on what matters most in our employees' lives, like pay incentives, bonuses, benefits, 401k plans, paid time off, advancement opportunities, medical, prescription, dental, and vision insurance, as well as short and long-term disability. Come join our incredible team today and make Genco your career that will work for you. Apply at gencofcu.org or at any branch location.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with NFL Hall of Fame columnist John McClain. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943. Read John's work at GallerySports.com and SportsRadio610.com.
Hall of Famer, just a great dude, great friend of us, all of us, and of the show as well. Hall of Fame columnist John McClain on Tuesdays. John, I know that there's these flare-ups and there's always these trends about this or that, but this roughing the passer, I saw where the NFL said they'll look into it or whatever. There's nothing to them more important than fan reaction or how they feel, and I know money, but what's going on here with the Brady play and then last night with Carr?
Well, first of all, it is ingrained in the officials, protect the quarterbacks. If you're going to make a mistake, make it on the side of the quarterback. Nobody wants to see Skylar Thompson playing quarterback. And nothing's going to happen. The only thing's ever going to change it because it's so subjected to some people. And the one Chris Jones had, where the official told the pool reporter, came down on his weight. Number one, he had the ball in his hand. Number two, he put his left arm down to cushion it. And for whatever reason, the official's never going to admit they're wrong. What'll probably happen is the NFL will send things to both coaches and say they screwed up, shouldn't have been called, and there's no recourse, of course. You know, if it's your quarterback, you're happy about it. But it's ridiculous. It's like pulling Teddy Bridgewater after one play because the spotter fell asleep and dreamed that he got in. And that cost them the game. It's just ridiculous.
John, do you ever think that there will be that sky judge who will just call down and be like, no, pick it up? And
Should be. On? They've been advocating that for years. And he has sitting there in front of a big flat screen TV like we are at home, and he can look at it. That's better than going to New York, and he can just say into the referee's earpiece, pick up that flag. That makes perfect sense. Now, the other thing is, Bill Belichick has advocated for years to the competition committee, which recommends rules changes to the owners before their spring meetings in March, that coaches be able to challenge anything. People say, oh, my God, the game would go forever. No, you have the same number of challenges. You just are able to challenge different things. And if you see an egregious roughing the passer call, you know, you want to challenge it. You get it right, great. If you don't, it costs you a timeout. That we're getting more and more of that about plays that can be challenged. It's almost like pulling teeth before the owners will agree to it. I don't know why they will not let them challenge anything they want.
John, the Texans win for the first time this season against Jacksonville, 13-6. Your thoughts on Houston getting their first W? I know they've been close, and obviously Jacksonville's not the best team, but hey, you take it where you can get it. What'd you think of the Texans getting their first W?
Jacksonville was 7-point favorite, and the Texans beat them by 7. Last year, Jaguars were favored 6.5 and 5. Texas blew them out both times. Texas have beaten them 9 times in a row and 15 out of 17. The last time the Texans and Jaguars split their AFC South series, 2010, when John Weeks from Baylor was a rookie snapper on the team. Now he's a 13-year veteran. So, it was a good defensive game. Jalen Petrie played well. He's missed some tackles, but he's playing well. Derek Stingley had his best game. Damian Pierce, people didn't see his run for 20 yards on a touchdown drive in which he broke 7 tackles. It was an Earl Campbell type run. I said it was the greatest run in Texans history because of how many tackles he broke. And it was the kind of thing Earl Campbell did all the time. And that kid's quickly becoming the most popular player on this franchise. And Texans were in every single game. It's amazing. They could be 5-0. Now, they shouldn't be because they're a bad team, but they've been in the fourth quarter of every game with a chance to win. And instead of making plays to lose, they finally made plays to win.
I don't think they win without the overall 27 yards of total offense from Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, Rex Burkhead, I as I call him, Rex Bleeping Burkhead.
Yes, you do.
And he has scored a touchdown and made 4 first downs the last 2 weeks, but he should be a third down back who catches short passes. Every time he's in a game, they throw the ball. He shouldn't touch it. They need a backup running back to take 5 or 6 carries a game.
Yeah.
We had a news conference today with the general manager, Nick Casario, and I asked him about that. And they got 2 other backs that he brought up, Royce Freeman and Dari Mumbawali. They run better than Burkhead. This fascination with Burkhead coming off the bench, it's just like he's got pictures of offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton because he's the one that determines who plays and what the play is. And I'm not impressed with Pep Hamilton's play calling at all. Davis Mills is nothing like he was at the end of last year, even though he's got a running game. And they don't let him throw the ball down the field. It's just I think he's doing a bad job.
When he was in New England, his best years, when he had 3 or 4 carries a game, 2 or 3 catches a game.
Burkhead?
Yeah. All right.
John, what will Matt Rhule have to do to get back in the NFL? Does he have to have a Pete Carroll-like college renaissance?
He'll never get back in the NFL. People always talked about Matt being an NFL coach. He only coached 1 year in the NFL. And it's you guys know him very well. His personality, his style is more suited to college. He can have any job in the country he wants. He can sit out a year if he wants. And I was asked on a couple of my shows today if I thought he took a job now, what would it be? And I said, well, he comes from the Big Ten. Obviously, if something happened to James Franklin, he'd want to go to Penn State. And Wisconsin has built-in recruiting advantages. They get good every year. And I could see him going there, but it's not a total rebuild like he's used to. Somebody said, what about Auburn? I said, if I'm a head coach, I don't know if I want to get involved with the SEC. And somebody said, well, what if Oklahoma mixed Venables one and done? I said, well, they're going to be in the SEC. Arizona State can't keep recruits in the state. They all go to California schools or Utah. So there's a lot of opportunities. But if I'm just looking around and one I think would be good for him, it would be Wisconsin because they're usually really good.
John McClain with us, again, with GallerySports.com and part of 610 in Houston. Writes very, very well along the way. Your thoughts?
By the way, David, hang on a minute.
Yep.
I bet you are pumped up about that big must-see TV game Thursday night between the Bears and the Commanders on Amazon.
You can't flex a Thursday night game. But don't you know they wish they could? Is it because the games are bad or because anything on Thursday most of the time is just so quickly after a game and it's just not going to be good football?
Well, if you're taking these teams and you got Carson Wentz and Justin Fields, we thought with Russell Wilson and Matt Ryan, we would have a lot of offense, and they were awful. And it's too bad you can't flex out at like halftime, because they would have flexed that game out Thursday at halftime. Then I look at the Commanders and the Bears. Okay, going into the season, nobody expected anything from Washington. Nobody expected anything from the Bears. So why the hell did they put them on? The Texans are on one time. It's on Thursday night, but it's against the best team in the NFL and the Eagles. So if you got a bad team, put them on with a good team. Don't do it like this. I don't know who made that schedule, but if I'm Jeff Bezos, I say I want some kind of a piece of my $1 billion back for putting on this dog poop 2 weeks in a row.
Well, John, speaking of a big matchup that would be much better served for Jeff Bezos and those Amazon broadcasts, that is what we will see on Sunday night. So your thoughts heading into what should be a terrific little clash, Dallas and Philadelphia, given how those two teams have started?
I think it's going to be great. Cowboys swept them last year. Eagles want revenge. Eagles got it on both sides of the ball. They can run the ball. Jalen Hurts is playing very well. Cowboys can run the ball. It should be clear to people now. Pollard's a better back than Zeke, and their defense is great. You know, that stat about first time they've limited opponents to fewer than 25 in a row since 72. Hell, I was a freshman at MCC when they did that. And I love it. I think it's going to be old-fashioned NFC East football. I'm still not buying into the Giants. I watched their game against the Packers, but they got a lot of injuries, and they don't have good quarterback play from Daniel Jones, even though he plays hard. I think it's going to be Cowboys and the Eagles, and I can't wait for this one. And as I tell everybody, Kellen Moore is the unsung hero because he calls the plays, and he has done everything that he can as a play caller to help Cooper Rush look good. And until Dak comes back and is 100%, just let Rush play. And if Dak comes back, plays dead for a couple of games, then they got a quarterback controversy.
If Cooper Rush, and if this was the offseason, what would be the interest in him for teams that, again, he is who he is, but what would be the interest? How much value would he have in the open market?
About like Jimmy Garoppolo,
okay,
which is a second tier down. People see Cowboys' defense is playing great. The running game is good. Coaches have done a tremendous job with the offensive line after Tyron Smith went down, and they're just doing really well overall. And, you know, what if they keep winning and the fans get Mike McCarthy for another season and Sean Payton goes somewhere else, like maybe Denver, with all of that Walmart money after Nathaniel Hackett's a one and done?
Yeah, I didn't think about the Walmart money there in Denver. John, the Astros, by the way, 7-5, bottom of the eighth. Plenty of time, Sean. Plenty of time.
No, I hope you're right, Paul, because I'm feeling really bad as they've been. Justin Verlander was pathetic.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time,
Thank
John.
you, guys. Take them.
That's John McClain, GallerySports.com, and also Houston 610, and a part of numerous segments with a lot of places, but us here, right here in Central Texas, most every single Tuesday. This is 365 Sports, and Paul Catalina's Top 5 is next.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Hi, this is Paul Catalina. I recently got engaged to the love of my life, but the most important thing that I had to do before I popped the question was get that perfect ring. And I know nothing about rings. So I went to the wedding ring store, Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills Drive. I knew I needed a custom design, and that's exactly what they do. 9 out of 10 of their engagement rings are designed in-house. The entire process took less than a month, and they were great every step of the way. Great options on financing, excellent selection, and talented designers. My fiance Beyonce and I get nonstop compliments on the ring. I only deserve credit for doing the smartest thing I could, walking into Boozers and letting them work their magic. Your one-of-a-kind fiancé deserves a one-of-a-kind ring, and that's what you get at Boozers. Boozers Jewelers, the wedding ring store on Valley Mills Drive.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season. And BK Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football teams in Texas, right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, led by our leading rusher, the F-150, 45 years in a row. Lock in your best price and rate today by custom ordering your new F-150 at BK Ford. Simple, easy, trusted. Experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
It's football and tailgate season. If you want product for the grill or smoker, charcoal, seasonings, marinades, sauces, Waco Custom Marketplace is your home to help prep, cook, and enjoy your food. Tailgate must like brisket, tri-tip, fresh-made burgers, sausage, chicken wings, and if you want steaks, call in your order and pick them up. Bacon wrap fillets or any kind of ribeyes. USDA Select Choice and Prime that melt in your mouth. House-made sausage and jerky. Also, Waco Custom Marketplace, a one-stop shop for tailgating, barbecue cook-offs, and family get-togethers, fundraisers with fair prices to you, the customer. A bakery with fresh baked bread and kolaches. There's cold beer, wine, and soft drinks. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. A cut above the rest. Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 555.
Top 5 fits for Matt Rhule, and this is based on the jobs that are open at this exact moment and one that's not, but will be. And there's not 5 jobs in college football that are open and fit him. So you heard John McClain just talk about it. So number 5, Auburn. Look, if he wants to get in the SEC and build a program that's got some success in the past, Auburn's the one. Now the problem is there is a circus that runs the kind of a shadow government that runs the athletic department, and they're never happy about anything. They have little brother syndrome really bad because of Alabama, and it's understandable, but they may never understand that you can never be Alabama. You can only be Auburn. So just try to be the best version of yourself,
which hasn't been
bad. They've been to national championship games. They've won them very recently. Just stay the course. Don't freak out. But if I'm Matt Rhule, I might stay away from this one in particular, just because there is very little control you have as a head coach over this job.
I mean, I think the shadow governments you refer to are just boosters.
Yeah, exactly,
everybody's dealing with them. I just think that theirs are a little bit off the rails in comparison to maybe some others, and there's, reasons for that. But I just, forget even that. Even if that was totally normal, I just don't see Auburn as a fit for him. I don't see him going to Auburn, Alabama to plant his roots and, build that team back up. It just does not seem like a fit. It's like a square peg in a round hole to me. So, if he wants the SEC glory or whatever, then by all means, I could see him winning that challenge. But I also could see him definitely not wanting to dive into the SEC as his follow-up to a failure in Carolina. I think that he's a little bit more calculated than that. And I've said it a couple times now, and I'll keep saying it. I think he's very smart about how he selects things. And I think, rather than being somebody who had just jumped at the Jets or wherever may have first, talked to him NFL-wise, he waited and as a result got a massive deal from Carolina that was as good as you could have gotten. And so he's not going to just jump to the SEC unless he feels like there's some real deal stuff going on at Auburn that's going to have them competing with Bama and with Georgia and with the rest of them.
If he can win at Temple and turn them around and win at Baylor under the circumstances and turn them around, he can win pretty much anywhere as far as in college. But I think he likes that rebuilding challenge. Some guys are just that way.
I also think the definition of winning is different for this school, perhaps, versus those others.
No question.
The definition of a lot of things.
And he did have some leftovers from the Art Briles regime, but he also then was able to turn some of the guys in we saw last year perform so well. One person a part of a search committee that was a part of hiring Matt Rhule said to me from the beginning, he will go where the talent is close by.
Yeah. Number 3, Arizona State. We heard John saying the talent leaves the state, but there's talent in that state. And this is a rebuild. Like Craig, you said, this is a rebuild job. This is trying to maximize the potential of a place I've been to. Smokey, you've been there. Craig, you've been to Arizona State.
Oh, love it.
There's nothing wrong with that place, man. I mean, it has all kind of advantages to go into school there. It's, if you're from California, it's a short flight, for your family. There's all these, you can get to Phoenix from literally anywhere, pretty quickly and direct. It's not expensive, even far away to go there. It's just going to take the right guy. I think he could do well there. I just don't know if that's the job that, he would want, but it's a rebuild job at a place that you can make really good in a conference that's losing, its 2 most storied programs in USC and UCLA.
And with that comes what for Arizona State?
I mean, potential to maybe, or potential to either go in another conference or maybe be one of the better teams in that league.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting at there's a little bit of uncertainty going on there right now, whether it's the conference they're playing in or what the NCAA is going to do. Yeah. And so I just wonder and I'm with you, this would be, if it's all equal, this would be a really good job, and I could see it being one that he would take. I mean, he's done his East Coast thing. He's been to the Central States, so to speak, here in Texas, and I could see him heading west. But I do think that he's not going to jump into an NCAA investigation unless he has a pretty good idea that
again,
exactly. So I think he's going to have to check some boxes there, and also kind of get some reassurances about are we going to play Power 5 football or Power 2 or whatever it ends up being? Are we going to be in that mix? But that makes sense, that spot.
Number 3, TV for a year. This one makes a lot of sense to me, doing college football wherever. He's been good on TV when he's done it. NFL Draft was really good.
Who was really good on that? Gary Patterson was really good on those NFL Draft, the round-the-clock room. But you would think his personality, his voice, the way he communicates, his history, he would be very good at that. I haven't seen him very much, but you're right. I remember the NFL Draft.
Yeah, I think TV for a year would be pretty good. Look, I remember thinking that Mark Richt wouldn't maybe be very good on TV, and I watch him on the ACC Network every week, and he's quite good. You know, so and Matt Rhule has a bigger personality than Mark Richt does. Mark Richt was kind of like this, but he's very knowledgeable. Look, I'll tell you right now, I don't get the Urban Meyer is good on TV thing. It might be just the fact that I don't like him, but I find him to be very droll and boring.
I do not watch the Fox Game Day, and I don't watch too many of the game days. I don't watch it, whatever it's called. I'm sorry. I don't watch it because Urban Meyer's on it.
Yeah, but I do think it's kind of sleazy the way they've just rolled him back out there like nothing's ever. I really that has. I'm not the judge, juror, and everything like that by any means, but that does bother me a little bit, and I can't explain exactly why, other than just why give him more chances. He's clearly done nothing to deserve them, but here we are.
Yeah, just
he has a hellacious agent.
Yeah.
I think that he could probably kill somebody, and after he served his time, they'd have him back on the set because he's a national championship winning Urban Meyer.
Just brought him back, and they were like, "Hey, where you been?"
Joining us via Skype from his cell, and I mean that's kind of how it feels. But and I know he didn't ever go to those links. His former players did in some cases, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's just kind of weird.
Number 2, and this one's to me the least likely on the board, is Wisconsin. They really want Jen Leonard to work out. Uncultured Barbarian yesterday sent us a super chat about how just the game felt completely different with Jim Leonard overseeing everything and Bobby Ingram down from the booth on the sidelines. And I mean, they had a great game last week. We'll see if he can continue it. The Wisconsin people want Jim Leonard to have this job. This is Jim Leonard's dream job. He wants this job. the whole area of Madison wants it to be Jim Leonhard. But if it's not, this is a fit for Matt Rhule.
Yeah, if it's not, based on last week, it will be.
Yeah.
And let's see how the rest of it plays out. But, yeah, the Badgers looked good and looked fired up to play and, just looked really, really good. So I can see why there's, a bunch of fans for Jim Leonhard to be the next guy up there. And it seems like it's pretty much a no-brainer, barring some, skidding off the rails, which doesn't seem likely. So, yeah, long shot, but I think he'd fit in a lot of ways, sure.
Yeah. And number one of the open jobs, the one that's a total rebuild and in a big spot, is Nebraska. Now, like you said, he's going to go where the players are. This is not necessarily that, but I do think that Nebraska, because of what their commitment will be to getting those players, might be able to make that lesser.
I think Nebraska is going to have to promise whoever is the next head coach that they are going to have basically unlimited NIL.
Yeah.
And if he gets that, then, yeah, I'm sure he will be enticed by going to Nebraska because, yes, recruiting is very important. That was one of the major pulls of being at Baylor, was just being able to drive, an hour in each direction and go find blue-chip high school football players. So I do think that matters. And I think Nebraska appears as though they're, on the verge of doing just that, basically, is opening up the check. I mean, they're clearly opening up the checkbook to pay Scott Frost to get out of there early and to pay whoever the next coach is. It's going to be a massive deal. But I also think that, yeah, he'd need some assurances about the recruiting side of things, which would be NIL. And if he got that, then, yeah, I think he could do well there.
Well, they are doing a bunch with the NIL. In fact, Matt Davison's leaving the athletic department to be a part of some new endeavor that's connected with NIL. And so that's that. With what they have, the facilities, they're building this massive deal. The point is, can you get athletes there? I think you can get athletes anywhere. You have to have the right pitch and the right person to get them there. All right, I don't think he'll end up there. And Wisconsin's a better job. Auburn's a better job. But maybe that is the case.
What if he sat down with Trev Alberts and he said, listen, I like everything, but David Smoak's going to call me too much. And I can change my phone number. He'll get it. There's no – I mean, I just can't do it.
All right. He did change his number when he went to Charlotte.
Yeah, but you found that one out.
I did. Yeah. Jacob, he chewed me out the last time he texted me. Jacob Wilson, Jack McKenzie, Emery and Levi are out there somewhere in the space. And then also Garrett Ross. Garrett, great to have you back again. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, all of you on the chat room, thank you so much for being a part of it. Tomorrow, Craig Way, voice of the Longhorns, is a part of our show. Landry Burdine on TCU is a part of our show, among many others that will bring your way. Thank you. Our sponsors, we appreciate all of them. Good night. 365 Sports. Sports tonight at 10:30 on the CW channel.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.